There is a particular quiet that falls late at night. The house is still. The world outside has softened to a hum, and in that quiet, you find yourself alone, staring at the glow of a screen. You know this moment, the familiar knot in your stomach, the silent question that hangs in the air. Will it be enough? And in that quiet, a silent prayer often rises from the heart, a gentle hope for relief, for a miracle, for a way through. But it is so often drowned out by a louder, more practiced worry, a worry that has been taught to you, that has been handed down, that has become the default soundtrack of your relationship with supply. The world has offered you endless strategies to manage that worry, budgets, plans, and formulas. But tonight, we are not here to manage. We are here to dissolve. We are not here to learn another strategy. We are here to remember a truth. As you fall asleep tonight, you will hear the great, simple spiritual laws that govern all abundance. They are spoken now, in the sacred quiet of the night, because this is the hour when the veil is thin. This is the moment when the conscious mind, the doubter, the protector, the worrier, is finally tired enough to step aside, allowing a deeper truth to be heard. There is no need to worry if you begin to drift off. In fact, that is the very purpose of this journey we are taking together. It is perfectly safe to fall asleep. These words are not meant for the part of you that needs to listen, analyze, and remember. They are a deep and loving message for the part of you that never sleeps and never forgets. Your subconscious soul. It will hear every word. It will absorb every truth. It will begin its gentle work of realignment, all while you rest deeply and peacefully. And so you find your comfortable place in the stillness of this night. Your eyes gently close. The tension in your jaw releases. Your shoulders soften. There is nothing for you to do now but receive. This voice becomes the gentle current that carries you back to the unshakable truth of who you are. And as you sleep, you will remember your financial reality, the numbers that appear on the screen, the bills that arrive in the mail, the flow of currency into and out of your hands. This is not controlled by the world. It is not governed by the stock market, the government, your employer, or your past mistakes. It is controlled by law, a divine law as precise and as dependable as gravity. And this truth settles into your spirit with the full force of what has been tested and proven for millennia. If a feeling of being broke, blocked, or perpetually burdened by financial anxiety arises, it is not because you have been forgotten by God. It is not because you are unworthy or unlucky. It is because you are out of alignment with this law. You are not out of luck. You are out of rhythm. And in the spiritual economy, rhythm is everything. The money that moves in your life or fails to move is not reacting to your effort. It is not a reward for your struggle or your long hours. It is responding with perfect and impersonal precision to your vibration, to the dominant frequency of your thoughts, your feelings, and most potently, your spoken words. You cannot outwork a misaligned vibration. You cannot hustle your way out of a core belief of scarcity. You cannot outrun a deep internal contradiction. It is impossible to pretend your way into provision while secretly rehearsing the story of lack in the quiet theater of your mind. A harmony with the law is needed. An alignment of your inner world with the divine blueprint of abundance that is your birthright becomes essential. The language of spirit, which is the language of truth, of faith, of unwavering inner command, becomes your native tongue. I am not here tonight to flatter you or to soothe your fears with gentle platitudes. A new knowing is here to call your soul into its rightful place of command. The scepter of your own authority is being gently placed back in your hand, because until you rise in your divine identity, until a new rhythm of truth becomes your own, until you align with the spiritual laws of creation without hesitation. Your financial world will continue to mirror your confusion instead of your covenant. A new perspective gently unfolds, and you see yourself as a spiritual bank. Every word spoken is either a deposit or a withdrawal. Every thought held is either interest earned or interest lost. The currency of this bank is not paper or metal, it is divine substance, the very fabric of the universe. And the laws that are about to be revealed are not simply good advice. They are not philosophical concepts to be debated. They are the sacred codes that open the vault. When you live in harmony with them, they release a flow of divine supply that is steady, surprising, and sufficient for every need and every desire. When they are ignored or violated through fear and contradiction, the vault remains closed and the flow of supply freezes. 99% of people do not understand this. They live on the surface of reality, chasing effects while ignoring the cause. They panic, they strive, they strategize, they worry, and still, they remain locked out of the effortless abundance that is their inheritance. They are like someone trying to open a combination lock by force, by begging, by kicking the door, when all they ever needed was the code. But you have been chosen to hear this. Your soul has guided you to this moment because you are ready. You are ready to stop striving and start aligning. You are ready to prosper because you are ready to speak the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth over your life. And when you do, money, which is simply a servant of law, must answer you. A clarity about the nature of money settles in. Money is not evil. Money is not good. Money is not moral or immoral. Money is obedient. It is a form of energy, a current of divine substance that is completely impartial. It does not serve virtue or vice. It serves vibration, and your vibration is governed by the laws of spirit. Just as the law of gravity does not care who jumps, pulling the saint and the sinner to the ground with equal force, just as fire does not care who touches it, burning the kind hand and the cruel one with the same heat, so too does divine law not play favorites. It is a perfect, impersonal system that fulfills itself always. If your life is marked by financial instability, by the constant anxiety of not enough, it is not a punishment from God. It is a report card. It is a divine mirror showing you, with loving and unemotional accuracy, the frequencies you have been predominantly speaking, thinking, believing, and therefore living in accordance with. Money is not waiting to judge you or to love you. It is waiting to be commanded by you. It is not emotional. It is not personal. It is spirit in motion, and it responds only to the clear, unwavering order of the one who stands in the vibration of truth. The divine mind, the infinite intelligence that orchestrates the cosmos, does not release substance into a state of confusion. It does not send overflow into a field of contradiction. It waits, patiently and precisely, for your inner vibration to match the frequency of divine alignment. This understanding permeates the very marrow of your bones. Wealth is not a random occurrence. It is not a prize granted to the clever or the ruthless. It is not a blessing denied to the kind or the gentle. It is a reality that is revealed to the obedient. And what is obedience in this context? It is not blind subservience. It is conscious alignment. It is rhythm. It is the daily, exact, unapologetic harmonization of your inner world, your thoughts, your words, your feelings, your assumptions, with the divine spiritual principles that govern all of creation. That, my dear, is the only wealth plan that cannot fail. Everything else, the world's strategies, the hustle culture, the get-rich-quick formulas, a collection of tips and tricks, they are nothing but leaves scattered in the wind if your soul is not rooted in the soil of divine law. There is a sacred scripture, a divine promise that echoes this truth. It is found in 3 John 1:2, and its message is, "Beloved, I wish above all things that thou mayest prosper and be in health, even as thy soul prospereth." This is not a gentle suggestion. It is a spiritual blueprint. It reveals the divine sequence of manifestation. God does not desire your lack. Spirit does not honor your suffering. There is no holiness in poverty. There is no sacredness in scarcity. You were created to prosper, not just financially, but in every area of your life, because you are a vessel designed to express the fullness of divine identity. And you notice the order of operations in that sacred text. Your outer world prospers as your soul prospers. It is not the other way around. You do not wait for the money to arrive to feel prosperous in your soul. A prosperous soul is cultivated, and the money, the health, the opportunities, and the increase must follow, as surely as waves obey the moon. How does the soul prosper? It prospers through the disciplined use of the spoken word. It prospers through conscious alignment with spiritual law. It prospers through the practice of substitution, replacing every thought of fear with a declaration of faith. It prospers through the power of assumption, feeling the reality of the wish before it has taken form. When your soul begins to prosper in this way, your outer world has no choice but to conform. The 7 laws about to be revealed are the very framework for this soul prosperity. They are not meant to be analyzed with the skeptical mind. They are meant to be spoken, to be practiced, to be repeated until your subconscious mind, that faithful, fertile garden, accepts them as the only truth it will allow to take root. They are not tools you occasionally use. They are frequencies you become. These laws are your divine inheritance, your birthright as a child of the King. But they invite your participation. They invite your mouth to speak them, your identity to claim them, and your will to align with them. You cannot ignore them and expect to walk in freedom. You cannot violate their principles and expect to walk in consistent provision. An alignment is called for. Not someday. Not when you feel more spiritual. Not when the evidence appears. Now. Because the very moment you choose to align with the law, money can no longer disobey you. And so, we enter the sacred rhythm of knowing. We move from the realm of theory into the temple of transformation. These laws are not taught for entertainment or for intellectual curiosity. They are spoken directly into your soul so that they may take root, so they may disrupt the false patterns of lack you have inherited, and so they may call your new condition into being. These first 2 divine laws are the absolute foundation of all financial demonstration. Without them, no abundance can take root and remain. With them, every other form of wealth must eventually respond to your call. Law number 1. The law of the word. Every single word spoken creates a mold. It is a spiritual blueprint, an energetic container. And into that mold, the formless substance of the universe is poured. If the molds created with your words are shaped by fear, anxiety, and doubt, then the substance of your life will harden into the form of scarcity, delay, and struggle. If, however, the molds you create are shaped by faith, certainty, and truth, then that same divine substance will pour in and take the form of effortless supply, opportunity, and overflow. The spiritual world is not a realm of casual conversation. It is a world of exact and immediate creation. It listens constantly, not to judge, but to obey. And what it hears from your lips, what you declare with feeling and repetition, it multiplies without question. For years, perhaps an entire life, molds of lack have been unknowingly created. A sigh is released. I'm always behind on my bills. And the law, a faithful servant, replies, so it is done. A desired object is seen, and a murmur is heard, I can't afford it. And the law says, with perfect obedience, let it be done unto you as you have spoken. A joke is shared with a friend, oh, you know me, I'm always broke. And the law confirms this decree, confirmed. The state of broke is now reinforced. These are not harmless expressions. They are creative acts. They are incantations of limitation, spells of scarcity you have been casting upon yourself. But now, the current is reversed. The word becomes the divine law it was always meant to be, not a running commentary on circumstances. A conscious rhythm begins to replace unconscious reaction. You stand before your mirror in the morning, and a new truth emerges. My voice is the vessel of divine increase. You look at your wallet, no matter its contents, and a new proclamation is made. Every word I speak today is a financial seed, and it brings forth a harvest of abundance. A wave of old fear is felt and countered with a powerful decree. I only speak what I wish to see. I no longer give voice to the illusion of lack. With every repetition of these truths, something profound is happening. The old, misshapen molds of fear are being canceled. The patterns of poverty consciousness are dissolving. And that ever-present, ever-willing divine substance is being poured into new, beautiful, abundant forms. Your mouth is no longer treated like a thermometer, which merely reports the temperature of your current reality. Your mouth is not here to report on appearances. Your mouth is a thermostat. It is here to set the temperature. It is here to create the appearances. The echo of the number in your bank account ceases, and a rewriting of that number begins with every sentence spoken. The law of the word is the first and most crucial gate to all provision. Until your mouth becomes a sacred space, consecrated only to the speaking of truth and abundance, your money cannot become stable, and your supply cannot become sure. Your word is your wand. It is used wisely. Law number 2, the law of circulation. Money is energy. In its purest form, it is spirit in motion, and like all divine energy, like love, like joy, like life itself, it is meant to move. It is not meant to be gripped with a white-knuckled fist of fear. It is not meant to be hoarded in a mattress, buried in a bank account out of terror of a rainy day. It is a current, and it must circulate. Like the blood in your body, when it flows freely, it brings life and nourishment to every part. When it stagnates, it brings disease and decay. The same is true for the energy of money. It expands when it is released in faith. It contracts when it is held in fear. When you circulate money with a spirit of joy, with a declaration of faith, the law of circulation rushes to replace and multiply what you have released. When you hold back, when you contract in fear, when you hesitate to give or to spend because you believe in scarcity, the law honors your vibration and holds back your harvest. The universe essentially acknowledges, a belief in not enough is present, a lack of trust that more is on its way. The flow must be slowed to match this frequency of lack. Fear-based control is no longer mistaken for wisdom. Hoarding is no longer labeled as being careful. When money is held onto tightly out of fear, a powerful message is sent to the universe, a declaration of distrust in its provision, a belief in a finite supply, that what is held is all that will ever be. And divine law does not multiply in a climate of suspicion. It cannot expand in an atmosphere of fear. It multiplies in flow, in rhythm, in the spoken word confidence of one who knows their source is infinite. So, from this moment on, a new relationship with the act of giving and spending takes form. A new truth settles into your heart, and it becomes your guide every time you release money. Every dollar I release returns to me multiplied, under grace, in perfect and surprising ways. As a bill is paid, a new knowing arises. I give this not to lose it, but to increase the flow. This payment is a seed for a greater harvest. As a donation or a gift is made, your soul affirms, I circulate this money as a divine steward, not as a scared servant of lack. I am a channel for God's abundance. When money is released with a declaration, a sacred loop is activated. Its return is commanded. Generosity is anchored not in fleeting emotion, but in unbreakable spiritual law. The entire financial life transforms from a tight-fisted struggle for survival into a beautiful, flowing, open-handed circulation system of divine wealth. The practices of tithing, of gifting, of investing, these are not merely material decisions. They are profound spiritual transactions. And when they are done in the frequency of truth with a word of command, they call forth an exponential return that defies all worldly logic. But if these same acts are done out of fear, out of guilt, or out of religious superstition, they become dead works. They block the very flow they were meant to open. And so an invitation arises within you to not give another dollar, pay another bill, or make another investment without first speaking over it. Its purpose is declared. Its return is commanded. A vibration of increase is assigned to it. Every financial transaction becomes a living testimony to the power of divine law, because circulation, when done in the consciousness of truth, becomes the very river of unending increase. These first two laws, the law of the word and the law of circulation, are inseparable. They are two wings of the same bird. One commands the substance, the other activates its movement. One speaks the reality, the other multiplies its form. Without both, you remain in the realm of human effort, of pushing and straining. With them, you enter the divine flow, the graceful rhythm of receiving. And now, we go deeper. We move from the foundational principles into the very heart of your spiritual identity. The next two laws are the bridge that connects your inner vibration to your outer reality. They do not require evidence from the outside world. They require a bold assumption on the inside. They do not require struggle. They require a gentle but firm alignment in your state of being. For the soul that learns to live these laws, financial demonstration is not a happy accident. It is the natural, inevitable outcome of alignment. Law number 3, the law of assumption. A new way of being emerges. You walk, speak, breathe, and carry yourself as if your demonstration is already a completed fact. Because in the mind of God, in the realm of spirit where all things are created first, it is already complete. The vision for your abundance, the answer to your prayer, the fulfillment of your desire, it already exists as a perfect, finished reality in the invisible. What delays its appearance in the visible world is not spirit. It is the refusal to step into the feeling of its completed state. It is impossible to manifest wealth while living in the emotional vibration of waiting for it. It is impossible to attract abundance while radiating the frequency of its absence. The timeline collapses. The gap between the desire and its fulfillment is closed by assuming the feeling of the wish already fulfilled. This is what Florence Scovel Shinn called acting as if. It is not pretending. It is not being delusional. It is a profound act of spiritual rehearsal. It is how the body, the breath, the cells, and the entire energetic field are trained to radiate the frequency of the condition being commanded. This means that upon waking in the morning, the old thought, "Someday I'll be financially free," dissolves. Instead, you stand up, stretch your arms wide, and a quiet and certain joy allows you to feel, "I am financially free now. My freedom is my divine reality." When looking at a bill that feels intimidating, the old thought, "I hope I can find a way to pay this," fades. Instead, you look at it with calm authority and a new knowing arises. "Thank you, Father, that my infinite supply meets this and every demand on time, without strain, under grace." This is not a denial of the facts on the paper. It is the declaration of a higher truth that supersedes those facts. You are training yourself to live from the end result. A new truth settles in your heart throughout the day. I walk in the vibration of already done. And this, I feel the reality of the wealth I command, long before my eyes can see it. This law is not about passively waiting for something to happen to you. It is about actively becoming the person to whom it has already happened. To continue to act poor in posture, speak doubt in conversations, and vibrate delay in energy is to invite divine law in its perfect obedience to keep rehearsing the very condition that has been agreed to. But to dare to step into the energy of wealth now, to speak of it, feel it, and declare it as a present moment reality is to invite divine law to rearrange the substance of your world to match the new vibration being emitted. A different posture emerges. Decisions are made from a place of sufficiency, not lack. A tone of quiet confidence colors your speech, and the world, which is a perfect mirror, begins to reflect back to you the new state that has been assumed. The state of abundance is assumed, and abundance assumes form around you. Law number 4, the law of tithing with word. The practice of tithing, of giving the first tenth of your increase, is an ancient spiritual principle that has been widely misunderstood. It is not a religious obligation designed to fund institutions. It is not a superstitious act to curry favor with a fickle God. At its core, tithing is a powerful act of spiritual alignment. It is a declaration of trust. It is a physical demonstration of knowing, without a shadow of a doubt, that God, and not a job or efforts, is the true source. However, the power of this law is often nullified because it is performed incorrectly. When tithing is done out of fear, it is void. When it is done out of a sense of guilt or duty, it becomes a dead work that blocks the flow. But when it is done in the frequency of truth, with a conscious declaration, it activates the law of circulation and increase in a way that nothing else can. Tithing is not just about the act of giving money. It is about the consciousness with which it is given. This is the law of tithing with word. It means a tithe is never released in silence. The circulation is sealed with a spoken declaration. Most people give money and hope for a return. A precious few give money and command its return. The one who speaks with authority while they give is the one who commands multiplication. An understanding settles in. You are not tithing to a person, a church, or an organization. You are tithing to the divine principle of abundance itself. You are not giving to earn God's favor. You are giving to acknowledge that Spirit is your one and only source. You give not because of an emotional impulse, but because of a spiritual covenant. So, as you prepare to release your tithe, as you hold the money or prepare the transfer, a new truth is spoken over it. Your soul affirms, this tithe is a seed of faith. As I release it, it opens financial channels that no man can block. You declare, I return this tenth to the source of all supply, and the law of increase now returns it to me 100-fold under grace. A feeling of knowing arises. As I release this with joy and trust, I expand my capacity to receive. My barns are now ready for an overflow. Giving is never again done in silence. Generosity is never again treated as a gamble or a loss. Every seed planted in the fertile soil of spirit is watered with the sound of your voice. The increase is affirmed, the return is expected, and the sacred act is sealed with a divine instruction. This is the law of tithing with word. It transforms giving from a passive act into a powerful, creative force. It is not just releasing funds, it is releasing faith in a spoken form. And the law of the universe cannot resist unwavering faith. It cannot ignore a clear declaration. It cannot hold back the multiplied return from the one who gives and speaks in the same divine rhythm. Together, the law of assumption and the law of tithing with word shift your entire vibrational posture from passive to powerful. No longer do you wonder when or if money will come. Its presence is assumed and its arrival is expected. No longer is a tithe given with fear or hesitation. Its multiplied return is declared with authority. You are no longer a hopeful bystander in your financial life. You are a commanding partner in a sacred covenant of abundance. Now, a preparation of the Spirit. Because what comes next is the final, crucial step. It is the reprogramming of the deep mind, the silent partner, the ultimate gatekeeper between your spoken word and your manifested reality. We are going to the root. The subconscious mind is your silent, faithful partner in the act of creation. It is the fertile soil in which the seeds of your words and beliefs are planted. It never sleeps. It never questions. It does not judge what is good for you or bad for you, what is right or wrong. It is utterly impartial. It simply accepts as truth whatever is spoken to it with rhythm, whatever is believed with repetition, and whatever is felt with deep emotional charge. And it works tirelessly, day and night, to bring that accepted truth into physical form in your life. If that deep inner system is programmed to believe in scarcity, to expect struggle, and to feel unworthy of wealth, then all of your conscious declarations, all of your affirmations, and all of your outward attempts to manifest abundance will ultimately collapse under the weight of this powerful internal contradiction. It is not because the law of attraction failed. It is because the inner agreement with lack was never fully canceled and replaced. The foundation was shaky, and the house of prosperity could not stand. This is why we now move into the next two divine laws. These are the laws that reach into that deep soil of the mind and pull up the weeds of lack by their very roots. These are the laws that restore your inner operating system to match the truth of your divine identity. Law number 5, the law of agreement. You cannot serve two masters. It is impossible to say one thing with your mouth and believe another thing in your heart and expect the universe to respond with clarity. It is impossible to affirm wealth in a morning prayer and then spend the afternoon making jokes with friends about being broke. It is impossible to pray for divine provision and then turn around and gossip with family about how hard times are. Agreement is a sacred state of vibrational harmony. It is the frequency that is created when your inner world and your outer world come into alignment. It is the powerful resonance that occurs when what you say, what you believe, and what you expect are all singing the same song. When your inner and outer word align, you become a powerful magnet for everything that matches that clear, unified signal. But when they clash, when you say one thing and feel another, the signal you send out to the universe is scrambled, confused, and weak, and the flow of your good is inevitably blocked. Therefore, a conscious and deliberate burning of contracts with scarcity begins. Think about that for a moment. Silent agreements with lack have been made throughout life. They were made through the family patterns inherited, the cultural conditioning absorbed, and the casual, negative conversations participated in. These agreements are now dissolved. This is not just a mental exercise. It is a form of spiritual legal work. You are the sole authority over your own vibration, and that authority is now being exercised. A new declaration arises, and it is felt with every fiber of your being. I now break and dissolve every agreement, conscious and unconscious, that I have ever made with lack, with struggle, with poverty, or with delay. These contracts are now null and void. Then a new contract is signed. Your soul affirms, I now sign a new and everlasting contract with God's abundant universe. From this day forward, I agree only with wealth. I agree only with divine supply. I agree only with my true and magnificent inheritance of overflowing good. This is not just playing with language. A new legal precedent is being set in your own consciousness. You are the judge and the jury in the courtroom of your mind, and a new verdict has just been handed down. And every word spoken from this moment on is either an affirmation of your new contract of wealth or a renewal of the old bondage to scarcity. The choice is made now. The alignment happens now. Only that which you are willing to live with as your permanent reality is spoken. The law of agreement requires that your mouth, your mind, and your mood come into a sacred and unbreakable covenant. Not just sometimes, not just when you feel inspired, but daily as a constant and disciplined practice of vibrational purity. Law number 6, the law of identity. This is the law that is most often ignored, and yet it is the absolute root of all demonstration. You can only receive into your life what your core identity can hold. You can only attract and sustain a level of abundance that your subconscious mind believes you are worthy of. If, deep down, a part of you still sees yourself as a struggler, as a hustler, as a barely getting by kind of person, then the universe, in its infinite love and obedience, must mirror that identity back to you. The very blessings being prayed for will be unconsciously blocked because a sense of self is fundamentally incompatible with the request. It would feel unfamiliar, unsafe, and undeserved, and the subconscious would find a way to sabotage it to return to the familiar territory of not enough. But the moment your core identity begins to change, everything shifts. The moment you stop trying to get money and start being the person who is a natural channel for it, the game changes entirely. The old way of seeing yourself as someone who is trying to get wealth dissolves. A new vision emerges of yourself as the very channel through which divine wealth flows into the world. You are not the chaser. You are the vessel. You are not the seeker. You are the source point. This is why every old limiting label ever placed upon yourself is consciously replaced. The old story, I'm just not good with money, gone, erased. The old lie, I always seem to lose it as fast as I get it, dissolved now in the light of truth. The old inherited belief, I'm not the kind of person who ever gets rich. Burn it, turn it to ash. And in the place of these old dusty labels, a new divine identity is installed. These truths are repeated aloud, daily, rhythmically, without apology, until they no longer sound like affirmations being recited, but like the simple, natural language of your soul. A new feeling takes root. I am wealth in motion. I am an irresistible magnet for divine ideas and abundant supply. A new knowing arises. I am the conscious and grateful gatekeeper of divine substance. It flows to me and through me to bless the world. Let this knowing echo in the sanctuary of your spirit. I am no longer waiting for abundance. I am the very presence of abundance, and my world now reflects my true nature. Repetition is what reprograms the mind. Identity is what reshapes reality. These truths are spoken over and over, with feeling and with conviction, until they feel more real to you than your own name, until they are no longer something you are trying to believe, but something you simply are. You are not here to fix your money problems. You are here to transform your identity into one that cannot help but attract, sustain, and circulate divine supply. Because once your core identity changes, your outer reality must follow. It has no other choice. The law of agreement and the law of identity are the final, powerful keys to inner reprogramming. Together, they make your spiritual work unstoppable. Together, they remove the deep, hidden resistance that has been sabotaging your efforts. Together, they create the inner temple of abundance that divine law cannot ignore and will always rush to fill. And now, with this understanding, all that has been learned is sealed with a sacred invitation. An invitation that requires not just curiosity, but full spiritual alignment. You have heard the 7 laws. You have received the rhythm of truth. You have felt the vibration of this divine knowing resonating in your soul. But now a question arises that only you can answer. Will you align with it? Will you move from being a curious student to a commanding master? Will you stop treating your wealth like a far-off wish and begin treating it like a present-moment covenant? Because these laws do not bend for the casual observer. They do not obey the hesitant heart. They do not reveal their full power to the passive soul. They demonstrate their magic only for the spiritually aligned. And a clear understanding of discipline in this context emerges. It does not mean pressure or harshness. It does not mean perfectionism or self-flagellation. Spiritual discipline simply means rhythm. It means obedience to the truth, even when your senses contradict it. It means the steady, loving repetition of your divine word in the face of outer silence. It means holding the vibration of authority, even when the old self whispers in fear. Now the seventh law is revealed. This is the seal, the capstone, the law that governs every other law. This is the law that proves you are truly willing to walk in the fullness of your divine inheritance. Law number 7. The law of obedience. It is impossible to command money without first aligning with the laws that govern it. It is impossible to walk in a state of ever-increasing abundance while consistently being out of rhythm with spirit. This is not about being a perfect person. It is about being a consistent person. A full understanding of every intricate detail of how the law works is not needed to be blessed by it. A simple alignment with its rhythm is all that is required. The word of truth is spoken. An identity of abundance is aligned with the lie is substituted with a declaration of faith. The feeling of the wish fulfilled is assumed. Gifts are circulated with joy, and the return is expected with certainty. And this is done again and again and again until living by this law becomes the very language of the cells. Spiritual obedience is not an emotional act. It is a daily, intentional, rhythmic choice. It is the sacred repetition of truth that lovingly reshapes the entire reality from the inside out. And now, an invitation to a sacred covenant unfolds within you. For the next 7 days, you live in conscious covenant with these 7 laws. Not randomly, not only when you feel inspired or motivated, but as your new rhythm, your new vibration, your new and true identity. This sacred cycle repeats for 7 full days. It is spoken aloud. It is lived in the heart. When you forget, you gently return. When you drift into old patterns, you lovingly reset. The law does not punish the mistake. It only and ever rewards the return to rhythm. You are no longer waiting for a teacher to give you a secret. You are no longer searching for a magic formula. You have heard the secret. It is the law. It is the rhythm. It is your own word made manifest. And when you align with it fully, without contradiction, wealth becomes the natural, effortless response of a universe that always, without fail, mirrors your command. You are not here, on this earth, to test these laws, to see if they work. You are here to become the living demonstration of them. You are no longer hoping to see evidence of abundance. You are becoming the evidence. 7 laws, 7 days, 1 unified vibration. And once you begin to walk in this sacred rhythm, money cannot help but obey you. And now a deeper knowing is anchored in your spirit. This is not recitation, but activation. These are not phrases to be memorized for a test. These are the sacred keys that will unlock the vault of your own consciousness. These truths are not whispered in the dark. They are declared in the light. They are engraved on the walls of your mind until they become the very architecture of your reality. The divine law knows, with no uncertainty, that you are no longer a timid guest in the house of wealth. You are the architect of its arrival. A new identity breathes through you. And its truth is this: money moves when I speak. My voice is not casual, it is currency. It shapes, it shifts, it commands. I tithe and I multiply. I do not give from fear, I give from covenant. What I release returns to me, stamped with the seal of divine increase. I am already supplied. I do not ask, I assume. I do not beg, I receive. I vibrate in perfect agreement with abundance. No more inner contradiction, no more subtle self-sabotage. I speak only what I desire to see multiplied. I walk as a spiritual commander of wealth. No more victimhood, no more confusion. I am not seeking favor. I am favor in motion. And now the final seal, the sacred rhythm that divine law cannot and will not resist, is declared. Slowly, then again with power. Because I obey divine law, money cannot ignore me, again. The shift in energy is felt. Because I obey divine law, money cannot ignore me. This is your sword. This is your scepter. This is your rhythm. This is the sound of your reprogramming. It is spoken daily. It is spoken before fear has a chance to finish its sentence. It is spoken until the world around you has no choice but to bend and conform to the beautiful, powerful, and unwavering frequency of your voice. You are not trying to believe. Belief is being installed and belief, when it is made flesh through rhythmic declaration, becomes wealth made visible through the perfect operation of divine law. If this message has stirred something deep within you, if it has cracked open the old, tired rhythm of lack, if it has exposed the lie you have been unknowingly living, if it has pulled you into the irresistible frequency of truth, then this moment is not just another video, just another piece of content. This was not entertainment. This was an act of alignment. This was your soul being handed the very keys it has been crying out for. And so, an invitation arises, not of pressure, but of loving presence, to let your declaration take form. In the waking world, a gentle pull may be felt to visit the space below this message, to choose one of the 7 laws that resonated, that challenged, or that awakened you from slumber, and to declare it as your own. To let a written declaration be a stake in the ground, marking this decision to change. When it is written, it is released into the collective current of all souls awakening to this truth. It is made visible. It is made real. If this teaching has felt like a spiritual remembrance, if the sound of this truth felt like coming home, then a natural desire to remain in this covenant with yourself may emerge, to stay in the rhythm, to continue the sacred work of rewiring your life, thought by thought, word by word, through the power of divine law. Each message found here is a rhythm. Each teaching is a returning, a remembering, a resetting of your own divine vibration. And an invitation arises to return tomorrow, not because more new information is needed, but because repetition is the very engine of liberation. The law of abundance never fails, only our rhythm does. And now that you know the laws, now that you have been entrusted with the 7 divine frequencies that control the flow of all good into your life, your only task is to align with them in a steady, joyful, and unwavering rhythm. Your money is no longer a source of confusion. Your path is no longer random. Your identity is no longer divided. You are the voice, you are the vessel, you are the rhythm, and because you align with the law, money must align with you, and so it is. Every single time you touch money, you speak. Even if your mouth is silent, your spirit speaks. Every time you hold it, pass it, count it, spend it, or receive it, your vibration issues a command to the universe. The world has offered a lie. It is said that money is a neutral, dead thing, that it is separate from spirit, that it is a worldly tool to be used with caution and feared in equal measure. But the living truth is here. Money is not a dead thing, it is alive. It is a servant of divine law, and it listens with perfect, impeccable obedience to the tone of your heart and the sacred rhythm of your word. Most people, in their spiritual slumber, touch money in a state of fear. They hold a dollar bill with a subtle hesitation, a quiet tension in their shoulders. They count their change with a feeling of dread, of not enoughness. They swipe a card and feel a pang of loss. They say, under their breath, I can't really afford that, and then wonder why the energy of money flees from their presence. They say, money just doesn't come easily to me, and then wonder why their purse is always light. They are speaking lack, while literally holding the symbol of supply. They are declaring emptiness, while touching the physical proof of the infinite, and then they ask why it does not multiply in their hands. But money, you see, does not respond to human effort. It responds to spiritual energy. It responds to blessing. It responds to command. It responds to the frequency of one who knows they are a child of an infinitely wealthy Father, Mother, God. A new practice begins, to treat every single moment of interaction with money as a sacred ritual. Every bill held, every card swiped, every coin found on the street, every transaction entered into. These are no longer mundane, worldly acts. They are powerful opportunities for divine demonstration. The moment you touch money, you are standing at a spiritual altar, and your word, spoken or felt in that moment, is an incantation that either multiplies your future good or diminishes it. No longer will a dollar pass through your hands without being blessed. No longer will a payment be made without its return being commanded. No longer will a coin be touched without the truth of increase being spoken over it. This truth is now received with absolute clarity. If you are not consciously and deliberately speaking increase over your money, you are silently permitting loss. Because in the realm of spiritual law, silence is not neutral. Silence is submission. When you say nothing, you allow the world's dominant vibration, the frequency of fear, of confusion, of lack, to speak for you. It seeps into your energy field and issues commands on your behalf. But when you speak, when you declare with rhythm and with truth, then your word becomes the dominant law in your reality, and money, the faithful servant, must obey. not because of magic, but because of law. A new ritual begins this very day. Every time money is touched, no matter the amount, a sentence is spoken, not just any sentence, but a sacred command, a declaration that carries the weight of divine substance, the frequency of creative vibration, and the finality of spiritual law. And when it is spoken, it is not as one who hopes, it is as one who knows because the law of abundance does not respond to begging, it responds to certainty. Your fingers become transmitters of blessing. Your tongue becomes the rod of multiplication that Moses wielded. Your entire vibration comes into harmony with the unwavering truth of divine supply. You are not spending money. You are circulating it. You are not losing value. You are commanding its multiplied return. You are not fearing lack. You are declaring an avalanche of increase. And a new knowing arises when you touch money. It is spoken with breath, with a steady rhythm, with the quiet authority of a queen. And then what follows is observed, because when one learns to speak to money in a state of loving divine alignment, money becomes a loyal and obedient servant, and the servant always, without fail, obeys the master who knows their own power. Money is not dirty, it is not evil, it is not a carnal thing to be avoided by the truly spiritual. That is the world's doctrine, a lie designed to keep good people in a state of powerlessness and lack. It is not the law of spirit. The great deception, the spell that has been cast over humanity for centuries, is this, that money belongs to man, that it is created by governments and banks, that it is earned only by the sweat of the brow and lost by a single misstep. But a bold and liberating truth is declared today. Money is God's invisible supply, made visible. It is divine substance that has taken on a tangible form. It is the shadow of the real, and it is irresistibly drawn to those who recognize it as a sacred instrument of good. There is no inherent conflict between money and spirit. The only conflict is between ignorance and truth. The same loving source that gives you the air you breathe is the source of the bread on your table. The same divine intelligence that breathed you into being holds nothing back from your daily abundant supply. When money is mentally separated from the divine, it is stripped of its true power and reduced to a source of stress. But when it is consciously united with the law of good, when it is seen as a spiritual tool, it is allowed to flow, to increase, to serve the highest purpose. The issue is never the money itself. The issue is always the consciousness of the mind that handles it. Money is no longer treated as a common, mundane thing. It is not handled with fear, with guilt, or with disdain. The phrase, "Oh, it's just $1," is no longer spoken. The thought, "I hate dealing with money," dissolves. The very instrument of earthly good is no longer mocked or belittled. What is scorned cannot stay. What is resisted cannot return. What is resented will inevitably be repelled. But what is blessed is multiplied. What is honored is attracted. What is spoken to with the voice of truth will return, laden with favor and increase. Money is profoundly spiritual. Yes, it is a medium of exchange in the world, but on a deeper level, it is a mirror. It perfectly reflects core beliefs. It reflects the dominant vibration of the soul. It reflects the state of consciousness. If thoughts of lack are thought, it will dry up and disappear. If guilt or shame is felt around having it, it will withhold itself. But if it is seen as what it truly is, divine substance in form, and if it is spoken to as a beloved child of the infinite, it will begin to move toward you in ever-increasing waves. Never again is the phrase, "Money is hard to come by," allowed to cross the lips. This is a curse. Instead, it is replaced with this Florence Scovel Shinn classic, a powerful and lawful decree. God is my instant, constant, and lavish supply. Large sums of money now come to me quickly, under grace, in perfect ways. That is not a pretty poem. It is a statement of law. And when it is spoken rhythmically, with belief, with feeling, with the full force of conviction, it must become form. It does not matter how much money is in the bank account right now. What matters is how it is spoken to. Because in the eyes of spirit, it is all one flow. It is all one law, and that which is handled with joy shall always return with power. Every visible blessing that you see in the world began first as an invisible word. There are no exceptions to this law. Your riches do not begin in your bank account. They do not begin with a paycheck, a new client, or a winning lottery ticket. They begin in a sentence. They begin with what is said, with conviction, asterisks before asterisks, they appear in your life. Most people have it backwards. They wait to see the abundance before they will speak of abundance. But that is not how divine law operates. That is reaction, not creation. Law is cause, and the primary cause of all riches is the spoken word of faith. The law works time and time again. The memory of a woman who stood with nothing in her hands but a fierce belief comes to mind. She had no money in sight, no job offers on the table, no open doors before her, but she began to speak, day and night, with a quiet and rhythmic power. She would say, "I see yellow bills, I see green bills, I see pink checks with the words divine abundance written in my name." She saw it in her mind's eye. She felt the reality of it in her heart. She spoke it aloud in her empty apartment. Before a single dollar had shown its face, she was speaking the truth that must precede it. And in time, because time is never the barrier, only belief is her mailbox, began to agree with her spoken word. Yellow bills appeared, green bills, pink checks. The very pattern she had declared in faith began to appear in form, not because she had forced it or manipulated it, but because she had called it. She had created the spiritual mold, and substance had no choice but to fill it. There is no waiting until the proof is there to begin to speak. You speak, and the proof will follow. The world's way, "I'll believe it when I see it," is no longer yours. That is the language of delay. That is the vibration of doubt. A new knowing arises. With the authority of a spiritual master, "I will see it because I have spoken it." For your entire world is but an echo of your most dominant, most repeated, most deeply felt decree. The scripture declares in Romans 4:17 that God calleth those things which be not as though they were. This is the divine pattern of creation, not describing what is already seen, but commanding what is yet unseen, not waiting for the riches to appear, but creating them first in word, and then walking in the reality of that word until it solidifies into form. Your sentence is your spiritual mold. When riches are spoken of in a state of truth, your subconscious mind accepts that design. And once the inner world has the blueprint, your outer world begins to gather the materials and match what your inner world has already shaped. So it is said before it arrives. While the purse feels light, while the bank account looks barren, it is said not to convince yourself, but to instruct, the law. And the law, once it has been instructed by a clear and unwavering command, begins to gather the necessary substance from seen and unseen channels to fulfill your decree. A new reality settles in your heart. I see riches surrounding me. I walk in a state of financial peace every day, in every way. My supply is multiplying now, both visibly and invisibly. And it is spoken again tomorrow, and again the next day. It is spoken until the inner world accepts it as unshakable fact. It is spoken until the outer world can no longer resist its power. Because when your word becomes law in your soul, it must become matter in your hand. There is no jesting with money, no mocking your own supply. You no longer make yourself the punchline of a poverty joke and expect the energy of wealth to honor you. This is a sacred awareness, not from a place of fear, but from a place of divine clarity. Your subconscious mind has no sense of humor. It is a faithful, literal servant. It records every single word spoken as a direct instruction. It does not know when you are being sarcastic. It only knows vibration, tone, and the energy behind words. It hears self-deprecating laughter as law. It accepts cynical sarcasm as a command. And then it diligently sets about constructing life experience to match that command. The story of a woman who, as a running joke, would repeatedly say to her friends, "Oh, with my luck, one day I'll be living in a trunk on the side of the road," comes to mind. She would laugh as she said it. Her friends would laugh with her, but her subconscious mind was not laughing. It was taking notes. It was preparing the trunk. It was arranging the condition, and soon enough, that was exactly where she found herself, living in a trunk on the side of the road. Not because she lacked ability, not because she lacked opportunity, but because she had, with her own mouth, prophesied her own downfall. This is understood with every fiber of your being. There is no such thing as a neutral word. There are only constructive words and destructive words. There are words that align with the divine truth of your being, and words that align with the illusion of fear. When you joke about being broke, your subconscious mind works to remove money from your life to match your declaration. When you mock the rich or speak ill of wealth, Your mind makes absolutely certain that you will never become one of them. When you laugh at your own lack, you lengthen your season of scarcity. The sacred tongue is no longer used to entertain others at the expense of your own good. Your words are not toys. They are powerful tools of creation. They are weapons against lack. They are sacred instruments of divine law. They are used with reverence, with conscious awareness, to build and create, never to collapse or destroy. If foolish words about finances have been spoken in the past, that old energy is canceled now. A new truth is spoken aloud with authority. Every idle word, every negative prophecy, every joke of lack that I have ever spoken about money is now neutralized, reversed, and permanently replaced by divine truth. Then, the old curse is replaced with a new blessing. The sarcasm is replaced with a sacred structure. The joke is replaced with a joyful justice. And from this day forward, only what is ready to be seen is spoken. A new refrain emerges. I speak only of increase. I speak only of favor. I speak only of divine and overflowing provision. Your words become your wealth. Your speech becomes your storehouse. No falsehood about your financial reality ever leaves your lips again, because every sentence uttered is a seed, and what is sown must, by law, be received. To see wealth appear in the outer world, it must first be seen and spoken of in the inner world. This is the divine formula of all manifestation. This is the sacred architecture of creation. First comes the vision, then comes the vibration of the spoken word, and then, and only then, comes the visible reality. All things that are created first appear in the workshop of the imagination. Then they are sealed and given power through the spoken word, and then they are formed into tangible reality. This is the divine rhythm of demonstration, and it cannot be bypassed, it cannot be rushed, it cannot be replaced by human logic, by hard labor, or by sheer luck. You become the divine architect of your own wealth. A new practice unfolds, to sit in the quiet sanctuary of the spirit and build a new reality, not with bricks and mortar, but with images and words, not with budgets and spreadsheets, but with bold belief and unwavering faith. You are able to see riches before the world can show them to you. You are able to speak of abundance before the world confirms it. The law of the universe waits for a leader, and your leadership begins with the images held and the words spoken. The imagination is the womb. The spoken word is the seed. The demonstration is the birth. To try to produce a new reality without first seeing it and saying it is to push and strain in vain. But to combine a clear inner vision with sacred rhythmic speech is to invite the law of the universe to deliver the result perfectly and on time. This becomes a daily, sacred ritual. Several times a day, your eyes close and you see your wealth. Not in a state of desperate craving or frantic fantasy, but in a state of calm, quiet truth. You see the bills neatly stacked in your drawer. You see the notification on your phone that says payment received. You see the balance in your accounts overflowing with more than enough. You see the joy on your face as you give generously. You see the profound freedom of having all your needs met with grace and ease. The question of how it will happen dissolves. That is not your task. Your task is to form the perfect, detailed blueprint in your mind. The law of the universe is the master builder. It will handle the construction. Then, what is seen is spoken. It is declared aloud. Even if physical surroundings completely contradict it, even if the bank account seems to mock it, even if the voices of the world call you delusional, it is said anyway, because what is spoken in a state of alignment, must become form. Your soul affirms, I see my wealth clearly. I feel my abundance in every cell of my body. I declare my infinite supply, and what I now speak must appear, under grace, and in perfect and surprising ways. And then, a new walk begins. As one who has already received, begging and pleading stop. An agreement with the reality just declared begins. The body moves in rhythm with the decree. You stand a little taller. You speak a little more clearly. You act with a sense of peace. You give with a spirit of joy. You receive with an open heart of gratitude. These are not acts of performance. They are acts of profound spiritual alignment. Your demonstration does not come by waiting for it. It comes by building it. And the building happens first in the silence of your vision and the sound of your speech, in the sacred, unseen realms. Then suddenly, it appears. And the world will call it luck. But you will know, with a quiet and unshakable certainty, that it was law. So your inner vision is combined with your outer vibration, the image is combined with the declaration, and what is built on the inside will soon stand before you on the outside. Because when spirit hears both sight and sound united in faith, it delivers its gifts in full. There is a sacred window in your day, a holy gateway that the world has taught you to forget. It is the moment just before you fall asleep, and the moment just as you are waking. These two moments are the sacred gates to your subconscious mind. They are the times when your conscious, analytical mind is at rest, and the deep, fertile soil of your being is most receptive, most fertile, most impressionable, and what is spoken into the mind during these holy gates does not vanish. It roots itself deep within the soil of your being, and it governs the reality that follows. And so, a new practice emerges, to bless your money at night, and to bless it again in the morning, not as a mindless routine, not as a superstitious ritual, but as a conscious act of divine law. The law of the mind works by repetition. The law of the universe responds to rhythm. A precious plant is not watered only once, and then expected to bloom into a magnificent flower. So prosperity is not spoken of only once, and then expected to multiply. It is spoken daily, at the sacred doorposts of the day. Before you close your eyes at night, this sentence becomes the last vibration your body remembers. It is spoken aloud, gently but firmly, into the quiet of the room. I now draw from the divine abundance within me, and I see that wealth made manifest without. Every dollar I have touched today returns to me, blessed and multiplied. This sentence travels with you into your sleep. It echoes through the silent chambers of your subconscious. Your dream state is governed by this truth, not by the fears of the day. While you sleep, this seed of truth is watered. While you sleep, your subconscious mind begins to rearrange itself around this new instruction. While you sleep, spirit moves through unseen channels to bring your good to you. Then, when morning comes, there is no immediate reaching for the phone, no checking of email. The news of the world is not the first thing that enters the mind. Before anything else, the law is spoken again. The invisible supply is greeted. The abundance that has been moving toward you all night and is now ready to rush into your day is welcomed. The sentence is spoken again, with fresh breath and fresh expectation. I now draw from the divine abundance within me, and I see that wealth made manifest without. Every dollar I have touched returns to me, blessed and multiplied. Your wallet is touched. Your purse is touched. The phone that carries your digital accounts is touched, and they are blessed. Not out of a sense of duty, but out of a sense of dominion. These objects become sacred symbols of your spiritual obedience. They serve as physical reminders that every single thing connected to your finances must now obey the new vibration of your word. Night and morning, the beginning and the end, the alpha and the omega of your day. The truth of your abundance governs them both, and the hours in between shall inevitably fall into line. This is the double blessing. This is the daily, sacred rhythm of the spiritually prosperous. It is not occasional. It is not reactive. It is rhythmic. It is bold, and it is faithful. What is spoken in the darkness of the night will appear in the light of the day. What is declared in a state of rest will show up in a state of motion. What is blessed at sunrise will return to you, multiplied by sundown, and so it is. There is one barrier to your abundance that is more dangerous than doubt, more stubborn than fear, and more cleverly hidden than a feeling of lack. It is the subtle, pervasive poison of guilt. Guilt about desiring wealth. Guilt about wanting more than you currently have. Guilt about the idea of receiving abundance while others in the world are lacking. This guilt is the invisible thief that stands at the door of consciousness and rejects the very blessings that have been called forth. For even when the law is spoken correctly and the word is aligned with truth, a heart that is heavy with guilt will find a way to refuse what the voice has commanded. A loving but firm cleansing of every false belief that whispers of unworthiness of riches begins. The inherited notion that wanting money is somehow selfish or that having more than you need is inherently wrong dissolves. These are not spiritual ideas. They are human interpretations of fear, cleverly wrapped in the language of morality and shame. But the truth, the divine and liberating truth, is this. Your wealth, when it is received in righteousness and used in love, is a profound service to God and to the world. The law of abundance is not offended by your overflow. The spirit of the universe is not jealous of your well-stocked storehouse. The infinite nature of God is not limited by the portion you receive. There is no scarcity in the divine mind. There is only an infinite, unending, and ever-available supply of all good. When you receive your abundance, you are not taking it from anyone else. You are simply aligning yourself more quickly and more consciously with the universal flow. You are becoming a living example of the law in action. You are becoming a powerful testimony that the truth of abundance does not fail. The great spiritual teacher Florence Scovel Shinn gave powerful words to combat the lie of limitation. They are made your own. They are repeated until they replace the guilt in the pit of the stomach. These truths override the inherited shame of generations. She said, "Nothing is too good to be true. Nothing is too wonderful to happen. Nothing is too good to last. If a pang of guilt is felt when an unexpected gift or a sudden influx of money is received, this is spoken aloud. It is right and good for me to prosper. I receive this gift with joy and gratitude. I use all the money that comes to me in love, and so money flows to me in peace." And if that old insidious voice of shame whispers in your ear, "Who are you to have so much more than others?" it is answered not with apology, but with the authority of divine law. You will say, "I am a beloved child of the Most High God. As an heir to the kingdom, I inherit all good. I now release all guilt, and I walk forward in grace." It is impossible to speak of multiplication while holding on to a vibration of guilt. It is impossible to bless your money with one breath and then hate yourself for having it with the next. These are the kinds of contradictions that cause our demonstrations to collapse. But when guilt is consciously released, all restriction is released. When the profound truth that personal wealth, used wisely and lovingly, is a blessing to everyone around you is accepted, ever wider channels for more to flow in are opened. A new knowing settles into the very bones of your being. It echoes louder than all the old voices of the past. My wealth is a blessing to myself and to all. I release all guilt. I walk in the truth of my divine inheritance. I receive with ease, and I give with joy. This becomes your new and unwavering truth. You are not here on this earth to struggle. You are not here to shrink and play small. You are here to demonstrate the magnificent possibilities that unfold when a human soul allows guilt to die and lets divine law reign supreme. And from this new and holy place of guilt-free receiving, your abundance will come to you freely, joyfully, and without end. The law never fails. It is not partial. It is not swayed by opinion. It is not delayed by the distance between you and your good, by the state of the world economy, or by what other people think is possible for you. The law does not consider how long you have struggled or how many times you have cried in the night. It responds to one thing and one thing only: the spoken word of truth, declared in a steady rhythm, backed by unwavering faith, and sealed with a quiet, confident silence. When you learn to speak rightly, and then refuse to contradict your own powerful word, the law of the universe goes to work on your behalf. I once knew a woman who was in a state of great and immediate need. She had lost her job. Her rent was due in a matter of days, and fear was swirling around her like a winter storm. But she had been taught the law, and she knew that this was not a time to beg. It was not a time to panic. It was a time to stand and speak. She closed her eyes. She placed her hand upon her empty wallet, and she spoke this sentence aloud, not frantically, but with a deep and faithful rhythm. She said, "God is my immediate and my inexhaustible supply. Unexpected channels of abundance are open to me now." She said it once, and then she said it again, and then she went about her day, refusing to entertain the fear that was knocking at her door. Hours later, she was walking down the street and felt a strange and sudden pull to look beneath a particular bush on the side of the road. There, tucked neatly under the leaves, was an envelope with her name written on it. And inside that envelope was the exact amount of money she needed to pay her rent in full and to buy food for the rest of the week. Some people would hear that story and call it a coincidence. I call it a demonstration, because this same rhythm of miracle has happened to thousands of souls who have learned to walk by this law. The moment they stop begging and start declaring, the law begins to shape new and surprising channels. The moment they stop rehearsing their fear and start speaking of their supply, the invisible substance of the universe begins to take on a visible form. You may be sitting there now, and a thought may arise, "But that kind of thing has never happened for me." And if that is the case, then a gentle question arises. Have you been speaking in faith, or have you been speaking in fear? Have you been declaring your good with the authority of a queen, or have you been hoping for it with the doubt of a beggar? The law of the universe hears certainty. It does not respond to emotional noise or desperate pleading. It responds to the clear, calm, unwavering frequency of certainty. A new conviction settles in. The law never fails. I now declare my infinite supply, and it must appear, under grace and in perfect and surprising ways. This becomes a daily, unshakable conviction. Energy is not spent wondering how it will happen. The clock or the calendar is not watched with anxiety. There is only speaking and walking and trusting. Because when your word is spoken in a steady rhythm of truth, the form must, by law, follow. The law of the universe never forgets your decree. It never misplaces your request. It always fulfills the pattern that you have spoken. So your words are patterned in faith, and the results seen in your life will be undeniable. There is no chaos in spirit. There is no confusion in the divine mind. It is only the human mind, in its state of fear and separation, that disorganizes the perfection that God has already made whole. If your finances feel tangled, heavy, delayed, or unclear, it is not because God has withheld your good from you. It is because your own vibration has not yet come into full alignment with the frequency of divine order. You have been speaking inconsistently. You have been feeling fear while paying bills. You have blessed your supply in one breath and then complained about its absence in the next. And the law of the universe, which must perfectly reflect your dominant rhythm, has simply mirrored back the disorder that was reigning within. But the very moment you decide to bring your words, your feelings, and your financial decisions into a state of sacred harmony, the principle of divine order is activated in your finances. And true order is not about meticulous budgeting, though that can be a helpful tool. It is not about perfect paperwork. It is about a state of profound spiritual alignment. It is an inner clarity that cannot help but manifest as outer peace and flow. And divine order in your finances begins with your decree. This is spoken daily, and it becomes the spiritual architecture of your money. Every dollar in my world is now divinely aligned, divinely assigned, and divinely multiplying under grace. That becomes the new truth for your money. Aligned with your highest good, assigned to a purpose of love, and multiplying with effortless ease. No more rogue spending driven by unconscious fear or a need for external validation. No more hiding from bills or avoiding bank statements. No more disowning your power over your own wealth. You are the governor of your financial reality. And a good governor does not guess or hope. They command. This is the new spiritual rhythm for handling money. A tithe is given in a state of faith, not in a state of fear. A gift is given with a spirit of joy, not with a feeling of guilt. Savings are kept with a sense of wisdom, not with a feeling of worry. Spending is done with a feeling of peace, not with a feeling of panic. Every single action taken with money becomes a living testimony of unwavering trust in the infinite source. Money is not your master. It is your faithful tool. It is the humble servant of your spoken decree. So it is used with reverence, with rhythm. And this powerful law is spoken into every financial decision. I do not manage my money by might or by human effort. I govern it by the power of divine order. And what is governed by divine law cannot possibly fail. Your inner world begins to reflect the deep peace of knowing that your supply is steady, that your seed is blessed, and that your return is multiplying, even now as you listen to these words. When divine order reigns on the inside, the chaos on the outside must bow and recede. You are not in the process of becoming prosperous. You are now, in this moment, aligning with the eternal truth that you already are prosperous in spirit. And as you walk in that knowing, as you act in that rhythm, you will watch your money, your opportunities, and your entire world rise up to meet the new and powerful vibration of your word. Now you know. And once you truly know a spiritual law, you cannot return to the old vibration of ignorance. You cannot unknow the truth. You cannot unsee the divine machinery that operates behind the curtain of the visible world. The power to create your reality has always been within you, but now it is conscious. Now it is awakened. And so an inner charge is felt, beloved child of God, not to walk forward from this moment in fear, but to walk forward in a state of quiet, dignified, financial dominion. You are not waiting for money anymore. Money is waiting for you. It is waiting for your clear voice. It is waiting for your consistent rhythm. It is waiting for your loving blessing. You have been given the sacred keys to increase. You have been given the sentence of multiplication. You have been given the understanding of the law of the spoken truth. You have been shown the sacred act of conscious circulation. You have been taught the divine rhythm of night and morning declaration. These are not theories. These are not interesting ideas. These are the powerful and practical tools of divine demonstration. They are used. Your money is touched, and your blessing is spoken. Your bills are paid, and their return is blessed. An appearance of lack is seen, and a reality of abundance is declared. A wave of doubt is felt, and it is instantly overridden with your sacred rhythm. No financial moment in your day ever passes again without your conscious awareness. No coin slips through your fingers without receiving praise. No transaction, big or small, escapes the powerful and positive vibration of your word. And now, for a final inner charge, a new knowing arises with a boldness that comes from the deepest spirit. Money now comes to me from expected and unexpected sources. I walk in plenty, I speak in plenty, I live in the unwavering law of divine increase. My supply is sure, my word is law, and my wealth is unfolding visibly and joyfully, even now. It is felt again, it settles into the bones. My supply is sure, my word is law, and my wealth is unfolding even now. It is felt until the rhythm of it writes itself into the very fabric of the body, until the conscious mind submits to its truth, until the outer world has no choice but to obey its command. You are not beneath money. You are not afraid of it. You are not confused by it. You now handle it as a high priestess handles the sacred objects on the altar, with truth, with power, and with profound joy. This is spoken every time money is touched, and what follows is observed. Because spirit is listening, the law is moving, and your word, once it is spoken in unwavering faith, cannot and will not return to you void. And so it is. You do not need more time. You do not need to wait for another year, another season, another cosmic alignment, another sign from the heavens. You do not need more money in the bank to start, more degrees on your wall, or more exhaustive effort in your day. What is needed, what has always been needed, is a word, a single, divinely aligned, spiritually charged sentence spoken with the unwavering conviction of your true self. One sentence that does not beg or explain or hope, but one that is a command. One sentence that has the power to rewire the entire vibration of your life and call forth the good that was already prepared for you in the invisible realm. One sentence that can shift your inner world so completely that the outer world must bow in obedience, not in a year, but in as little as 24 hours. The world will tell you that significant change takes a long time, that you must crawl your way toward healing, that progress is a slow, arduous process measured in years of struggle. But a new truth is heard by the authority of spiritual law that transformation is not on a calendar. It is on a word. The very moment you speak with pure, unadulterated faith, the moment you declare your divine identity and reality, the moment you cancel the old, tired rhythm of lack and replace it with the vibrant frequency of truth, in that very instant, the law moves. Spirit begins its work of rearranging circumstances. The demonstration of your good starts, not in a week, not in a year, but now. And what has been delayed, What has been withheld, what has seemed impossible, will suddenly appear, because the word of truth has gone forth from your lips, and it shall not, it cannot, return to you void. The very opening of creation was not a long, drawn-out plan. It was not a complicated process. It was not a laborious strategy. It was a sentence. Let there be light. And there was light. There was no debate. There was no delay. There was no discussion. Just a holy sentence charged with the creative power of the entire universe, spoken into the void. And that same law of creation is yours. That same divine breath has been gifted to you. That same authority waits patiently on your command. You were never meant to wander through life as a victim of chance. You were meant to speak your world into being. Everything else has been tried. Desires have been journaled. You have waited patiently. You have worked until you were exhausted. You have worried until you were sick. But you have not yet spoken this one sentence. The sentence that cancels all delay. The sentence that breaks the spell of limitation. The sentence that reroutes your timeline in divine order, reclaims your direction, and returns you to the perfect rhythm of God's plan for your life. And a sacred urgency is felt. Until the word is spoken, nothing can move. But once it is, everything can shift. Not in theory, but in substance. Not as a concept, but in its tangible form. Spirit is not moved by emotional pleas. It is not moved by desperate longing. Spirit is moved by one thing, the frequency of truth, declared with unwavering faith, spoken with a quiet boldness, and released without a backward glance of fear. So stay close, because before this message ends, you will have that sentence. You will know precisely how to speak it, when to speak it, and what to expect when its power is unleashed into your life. This is not a suggestion. This is not a philosophy. This is divine, spiritual law. And when this law is activated by your word, your life can and will begin again, with evidence appearing within 24 hours. This sacred work begins. Most people do not truly live their lives. They live in loops. They walk in spirals of waiting, repeating the same patterns of lack, of disappointment, of almost but not quite. And they call this reality. They touch the very edge of a breakthrough, only to be pulled back into the familiar gravity of their fear. This is not because they are weak. It is not because they are cursed. It is because they have never been taught how to speak with spiritual authority. They react to life. They wish for a better one. They analyze their problems endlessly, but they do not decree. And without a decree, the law of creation remains inactive. Without the word of command, the demonstration of your good remains unborn. Without a sentence of power, your divine inheritance stays sealed in the invisible. Lives have been seen that were frozen in time, held captive not by external enemies, but by their own internal silence, not by a lack of opportunity, but by a lack of spiritual command. These are beautiful souls with magnificent visions, with brilliant ideas, with hearts full of love, but they have no rhythm in their word, no authority in their mouth, no sacred sentence upon which the law of the universe can operate. And so they drift. They repeat the same patterns. They become spiritual bystanders in a world that they were meant to speak into shape. A perfect clarity dawns. Spirit will never override your silence. God will not impose divine order where your own word has not first invited it. The law is perfect, but it is not forceful. It waits with infinite patience for participation. It waits for vibration. It waits for your voice. Until then, reality will simply default to the dominant patterns of the environment, the fears of culture, the limitations of family, the residue of memories. Not because any of that is the ultimate truth, but because it is the only rhythm that the system has been given to play. Imagine a magnificent ship at sea. The engine is running, the sails are raised, it is fully equipped for a grand voyage. But no direction has been given, no port has been declared, no coordinates have been set. That ship is not broken. It is simply leaderless. And so it drifts at the mercy of the winds and the currents. Most lives are lived exactly like this, drifting, not by a cruel accident, but by a simple absence of speech. You were not meant to drift. You were meant to direct. You were not meant to guess. You are meant to govern. But to govern your reality, you must speak to it. A new knowing arises to speak aloud on a daily, faithful, and rhythmic basis the words that tell the universe where you are going. Spirit is given a clear blueprint to work with, a firm command, a sentence that slices through the fog of confusion and establishes the unwavering truth of your destination. Until your voice speaks with authority, your life cannot rise in power. Until the law of your good is declared, your timeline cannot reorder itself. Until a divine instruction is given voice, heaven cannot deliver what is already and has always been yours. You are not waiting on Spirit. Spirit is waiting on you. And so, a moment of reflection arises. What has been spoken today? What sentence has governed the last 24 hours? Have you been declaring your divine direction or merely describing your delays? Have you been prophesying your success or complaining about your struggles? Have you been activating the law of your good or surrendering to the appearance of what is not good? If a feeling of being stuck arises, if a holding pattern is felt, the answer is not to try harder. The answer is not to think more. The answer is to speak a new sentence. And once that sentence is spoken with unwavering faith, the drift ends. The turnaround begins, and the law, which never, ever fails, begins its holy and immediate work. Every delay ever experienced, every derailment from the path, every so-called detour into the wilderness, all of them have one thing in common. They were never greater than the law of your own word. The law of the universe is not concerned with how far you have wandered in the wrong direction. It is only concerned with the exact moment that you decide to speak the right word. Because the divine law of the turnaround does not operate on human logic or linear time. It operates on alignment. The very second that your vibration aligns with the divine truth of your being, the turnaround begins. The law does not require a lengthy explanation of past mistakes. It does not ask for a detailed report on how long you have been stuck. It responds instantly to the clear, authoritative command of faith. There are those who believe that change must be a gradual process, that spiritual transformation must follow a long and arduous path of repentance or restitution. But spiritual law does not need time. It needs permission, and your permission is given through your spoken word. The moment you stand up and a new knowing arises, I am now aligned with my divine good. The law does not hesitate. It does not pause to consider. It moves, it corrects, it reroutes, it makes all things new, not someday, but now. A true story that illustrates this principle comes to mind. A woman came to me in a state of deep despair. Her finances had crumbled. Her most cherished relationship was in ruins. She felt lost and abandoned. She said to me with tears in her eyes, "I feel like I've tried everything." But I told her gently that she had not yet spoken everything. I gave her one single sentence, a sentence that was anchored in the power of divine law. I instructed her to speak it not in a state of panic, but in a quiet, steady rhythm. She was to speak it aloud 3 times when she woke up and 3 times before she went to sleep. She was not to beg. She was not to explain her situation to God. She was simply to declare the truth. She spoke the sentence, and within 24 hours, she received a phone call that completely reversed her situation. A large debt she owed was unexpectedly forgiven. A check that had been delayed was suddenly released, and a new and beautiful opportunity was delivered to her, seemingly out of thin air. She called me, astonished, and asked, "How could it happen so fast?" And the answer is this: because the law does not move by the speed of human effort. It moves by the speed of spiritual alignment. The moment she aligned her inner world with the truth, without fear, without doubt, without a single shred of contradiction, the divine law of the turnaround was activated. Not because she had suddenly earned it, not because she had fixed everything in her life, but because she had finally, after a lifetime of begging, spoken the language of heaven. This law is ancient, it is spiritual, it is biblical, and it is available to you right now in this very moment. In the book of Isaiah, chapter 30, verse 21, it is written, "And thine ears shall hear a word behind thee, saying, This is the way, walk ye in it." That word of guidance does not just come from heaven to you. It must also come from your own mouth, to your reality. You must be the one to say, with unwavering conviction, "This is the way," and then begin walking by the sound of your own divine command. So hear this clearly. Your turnaround, your healing, your breakthrough, it is one sentence away. Not because the sentence itself is a magical incantation, but because it carries the pure, high vibration of divine truth. It activates the law. It ends the confusion. It realigns your life with the perfect blueprint that was already written for you in the mind of God. The law of the turnaround does not need a long process. It needs a clear word. And once that word is spoken in faith, what once seemed to take years can now begin to unfold in a matter of hours. Because the very moment your vibration shifts, everything else in your universe must, by law, obey. Now, the sentence is given. This is not a piece of poetry. This is not a positive thinking exercise. This is not a motivational phrase to make you feel better for a moment. This is a form of spiritual technology. It is a divine key. When it is spoken in a state of pure faith, without apology or hesitation, it has the power to override the vibration of fear, to cancel the illusion of delay, to break the rhythm of resistance, and to activate the demonstration of your good, with tangible evidence appearing within 24 hours. The sentence is short, but the law it activates is eternal. It is spoken slowly, with reverence, aloud, right now, wherever you are. I now step into the life that has already been prepared for me. It appears within 24 hours by divine law. Again, the power in these words is felt. I now step into the life that has already been prepared for me. It appears within 24 hours by divine law. This single sentence carries the power of 3 distinct spiritual laws, all woven together in one divine breath. First, it activates the law of assumption. When the words, "I now step into," arise, you are no longer in a state of hoping, trying, chasing, or waiting. You are actively stepping into your good. You are moving in faith. You are entering a reality that you know already exists. Heaven responds to this kind of spiritual movement, not to hesitation. Second, it activates the law of divine design. The phrase, "the life that has already been prepared for me," is a powerful declaration of trust. This is not a life you are struggling to build from scratch. This is a life that has already been perfectly constructed for you in the realm of spirit. Every true desire, every holy vision, every divine idea was placed in your heart because it already exists as a reality in the invisible. You are not creating it from nothing. You are simply claiming what is already yours. Third, it activates the law of accelerated demonstration. The phrase, "it appears within 24 hours by divine law," is your statement of faith in the speed and efficiency of spirit. This is not a demanding ultimatum. It is your reality being commanded in perfect rhythm with divine order. The 24-hour time frame is not a test of God. It is an affirmation of your own belief that the law is instantaneous when it is met with a fully aligned vibration. The visible manifestation may begin to unfold immediately, or it may start its journey toward you the moment you speak, but the spiritual turnaround is always and only now. This law has a beautiful scriptural root. In Isaiah 65:24, it says, "Before they call, I will answer, and while they are yet speaking, I will hear." This means that heaven does not wait for you to finish your prayer to begin responding. It responds in advance to the pure vibration of your aligned speech. Before the sentence is even finished, Spirit has already begun its work. And when this sentence is spoken, it is not from a place of fear or pressure, but from a place of quiet, regal authority. It is spoken not as a question, but as a statement of established law. Because it is law, a law that never fails, a law that governs supply, direction, healing, and success. A law that cannot delay when it is spoken by a soul who knows, without a doubt, that they are backed by divine right. It is felt again, boldly, with power. I now step into the life that has already been prepared for me. It appears within 24 hours by divine law. This is your sentence, it is your key, and once it is spoken in pure faith, the gate to your new reality must swing open, because the law, once it is activated, moves faster than your thought and deeper than your fear, and it cannot return to you void. Here it is, the sentence that most people never dare to speak, the sentence that the soul hungers for but the fearful mind resists. This is the sentence that cuts through the fog of confusion, that erases the pain of wasted years, that silences the voice of fear, and that overrides every false inherited rhythm of limitation ever known. It is not complicated. It is not hidden away in an ancient, secret text. It is not reserved for the spiritual elite or the perfectly enlightened. It is a key, and it is now placed directly into your hand, but you must be the one to use it. You must be the one to speak it, not softly, not questioningly, but with a quiet, firm command, with a deep conviction, and with a steady, unwavering rhythm. Here is the sentence once more. I now step into the life that has already been prepared for me. It appears within 24 hours by divine law. It is spoken aloud, right now. The syllables pass your lips like a bolt of gentle lightning. The vibration of these words moves through your body, from the crown of your head to the soles of your feet. Heaven hears your voice with a new and unmistakable clarity. Again, I now step into the life that has already been prepared for me. It appears within 24 hours by divine law. Why does this specific sentence work with such power? Because, as we have seen, it speaks to three of the most potent laws of creation in one single harmonious rhythm. The first is the law of assumption. When the declaration, "I now step in," arises, a fundamental shift in posture occurs from one of passive waiting to one of active receiving. There is no more wondering or wishing or wandering. You are stepping in. It is not a question of possibility. You step in as though it already is, because in the realm of spirit, it is. In the invisible, the door to your good is already wide open. The life you desire already exists. It is not coming to you. It is waiting for you. And when that step of faith is taken, it rushes forward to meet you. The second law is the law of divine timing and design. The phrase, "the life that has already been prepared for me," is a powerful statement of surrender and trust. This is not a life you are desperately trying to build. It is a life that is already done, complete and finished in the mind of God. The moment the pure desire for it was felt, heaven had already designed its perfect fulfillment. That vision was not a random fantasy. It was an act of divine recognition. You were given a glimpse of what was already yours, and now you are speaking it into its tangible form. God does not make you guess your path. He prepares it, He positions you for it, and your spoken word gives you access to it. And the third law, the one that shatters the stubborn illusion of delay, is the law of accelerated demonstration. The phrase, "It appears within 24 hours by divine law," is a declaration of faith in the immediacy of spirit. This is not being demanding. This is not trying to rush God. This is simply stating a profound truth, that divine law does not need time, it only needs alignment. And the 24-hour time frame is not a test of God. It is a test of your own willingness to speak and to live as one who knows. Your world can be completely rewired in an hour, in a breath, in the blink of an eye, when your word is pure and your faith is true. The scripture confirms this beautifully in Isaiah 65:24. "Before they call, I will answer, and while they are yet speaking, I will hear." Before your sentence is even finished, heaven has heard its truth. Spirit does not lag, law does not stall. The law of your good acts, the very moment your vibration aligns with its perfect design. So it is felt now, with the power of reclaimed authority. I now step into the life that has already been prepared for me. It appears within 24 hours by divine law. You are not hoping. You are not begging. You are commanding. This is not a fantasy. It is your divine and legal right as an heir of the kingdom. Spirit has waited for you to speak this. The unseen realm has waited for your word. Now it is spoken often, spoken faithfully, spoken rhythmically, and a rearrangement of life so swift and so perfect is witnessed that it will humble the logical mind and bring glory to God. Because once the sentence is spoken in faith, the law begins its work. A sentence of power is not a magic spell. It is not something whispered one time in the dark with a hope that the universe happens to hear. It is a command, and a command is given with a conscious and deliberate rhythm, with a deep reverence for the power being wielded, and with a steady repetition that carves a new groove in the fabric of reality. You are not casting wishes into the wind. You are consciously constructing a new reality with the very substance of sound. This sentence is spoken as one who rules their inner kingdom, not as one who pleads for entry. It is spoken as one who knows the law, not as one who doubts its power. Your tone matters. Your posture matters. Your inner expectation matters, because spirit responds not to the words alone, but to the full, unified vibration that is behind them. When is this sentence spoken? It is spoken first thing in the morning, before the world has a chance to argue with sacred truth. It is spoken again around midday, when the momentum of the day may be threatening to fade. It is spoken once more, just before falling asleep, when the veil between the seen and the unseen world is at its thinnest. And it is also spoken in the pivotal moments of action, before an important message is sent, before a life-changing decision is made, before stepping into the room where the future awaits. This sentence becomes a spiritual password, an energetic permission slip, the internal ignition that starts the engine of a new reality. Every significant act of the day is preceded by this powerful decree. And how is it said? Not quickly, not in a flat, monotone voice. It is said with rhythm, with breath, with a deliberate pause between the phrases that allows the power to build. Imagine standing before the magnificent gates of your own kingdom, and your voice is the only key that can open them. Imagine your beautiful future already standing just behind a velvet curtain, waiting for a single, clear word to be summoned onto the stage of life. Then, with that feeling, you will speak. I now step into the life. Breathe. That has already been prepared for me. Breathe. It appears within 24 hours. Breathe. By divine law, every syllable carries the weight of command. No part of your being contradicts the truth being spoken. There is no rushing it, no analyzing it. It is simply spoken as the law that it is. It is said until it imprints itself upon your very cells, until your nervous system no longer reacts to old appearances, but only to this new truth. until the voice of doubt in the mind dissolves from sheer lack of attention, until the environment changes, because it will, it must. The law cannot return void. And what must not be done? This sentence is not spoken once in faith, and then the rest of the day spent speaking in fear. A new reality is not declared in the morning, and then canceled with a litany of complaints by noon. This precious seed of truth is not planted, and then immediately dug up with the shovel of worry. Your mouth is guarded as if it were a holy temple. Nothing comes from your lips that weakens the power of your word. This sentence is not magic. It is law. It works not because you are perfectly worthy, but because the sentence itself is perfectly aligned. It works not because you try hard, but because you speak the truth. And truth, when it is spoken boldly and rhythmically, has the power to reorder everything in your favor. So it is spoken again now. I now step into the life that has already been prepared for me. It appears within 24 hours by divine law. This is how the mountains of life are moved. This is how timelines are shifted. This is how you become the governor of your own divine demonstration. Not through hoping, not through waiting, but through the bold, faithful, and unwavering rhythm of your word. And the moment you begin to speak like this, consistently and without contradiction, the universe has no choice but to respond, not with confusion, but with a perfect, ordered, and beautiful manifestation of your good. Many ask, with a hint of skepticism in their voice, is it really possible? Can one single sentence truly change my life in just 24 hours? And the answer is a holy and unshakable certainty. Yes, if that sentence is spoken in the pure, high vibration of divine law. Because it must be understood that spiritual transformation is not a gradual, linear process. It is not a slow burn of progress. In the realm of spirit, it is instantaneous, and it becomes visible in the material world as fast as belief will permit it. There is no time in spirit. What you think might take months to resolve in the material world can be accomplished in a matter of moments in the world of truth. The speed of your demonstration is not about the sentence itself. It is about the certainty with which you speak it. Let us explore the spiritual physics of manifestation. Spirit is the underlying substance of everything. Your spoken word is the vibration that acts upon that substance. And that vibration is the energetic pattern that physical matter must, by law, obey. When you speak from a place of pure spiritual alignment, your words send a powerful command into the invisible realm. They create a pattern, a mold that begins to pull every particle of reality into a new and beautiful form. This is not mysticism. It is divine law. And this law is perfect, it is exact, and it is always obedient. The master teacher Jesus spoke this law clearly in Matthew 8:13. He said to the centurion, "As thou hast believed, so be it done unto thee." And the scripture tells us that his servant was healed in that self-same hour. Not the next day, not the next week, in the same hour. Why? Because the man's belief perfectly matched his word, and his word activated the law. This is the piece that most people miss. They might speak the right phrase, but they speak it in the wrong inner rhythm. They mouth the words of truth, but they are thinking thoughts of fear. They repeat the affirmations, but they do not truly embody the feeling of their reality. But the moment you truly believe, and you speak as one who already governs the outcome, the healing comes, the supply appears, the divine shift begins. You do not need 40 days in the wilderness. You do not need more suffering to prove your worthiness. You do not need to beg God to do for you what has already been done in the kingdom of heaven. You need only to speak as one who already possesses the good that they seek. Because in spirit, you do. What you seek is not far off in the distance. It is here. It is now. It is hovering all around you in the invisible, just waiting to take on a tangible form the very moment you give it a clear structure through your sentence. Your words become the architectural blueprints for your life, Your sentence is the design. Spirit is the master builder. The moment the design is clear, unwavering, and aligned with truth, the building begins, and God builds fast. There is no backlog in heaven. There is no delay in the divine supply chain. The only delay is ever in your own hesitation to speak your word with authority. And why the phrase 24 hours? It is not meant to be a rigid deadline or a test of God's power. It is a sacred rhythm of your own expectation. It is one full cycle of surrender to the law. It is one full rotation of the sun for you to practice holding an unwavering command. It is a holy container in which your word can live and breathe and grow without the interference of your doubt. If you can hold your declaration for 24 hours without contradicting it, without doubting it, or without weakening it with fear, you will begin to see the first tangible evidence of change. A subtle shift in the air around you, a synchronistic sign in your inbox, a message from an old friend, a feeling of profound release, a sudden movement in a situation that was stuck. Why? Because the law responds instantly to spiritual integrity. A new knowing arises. Time does not delay me. Spirit does not stall. What I speak in truth appears in form, within 24 hours, by divine law. And so it is. Your mind is not your master. It is your servant. And yet, for most people, the servant has been allowed to become the king. Thoughts of fear, of regret, of limitation, and of repetition run wild in their inner world because their mind has never been properly trained by the power of their own spoken word. But today, that old pattern breaks. Today, the sacred work of reprogramming the entire rhythm of the mental atmosphere begins with a single sentence, spoken with divine and unwavering authority. There is no need to wrestle with every negative thought. No need to analyze and fix every painful memory from the past. Only a need to plant one new seed of truth that is so strong, so rhythmic, so filled with spiritual voltage that it has the power to override everything that came before it. That seed is this sentence. I now step into the life that has already been prepared for me. It appears within 24 hours by divine law. The very moment that this sentence becomes the new mental baseline, the subconscious mind must begin to shift. The nervous system must obey the new command. The entire energetic field must rise to match its frequency. This sentence does not just declare what is coming into your life. It actively replaces what was. It clears the fog of old, limiting timelines. It cancels the emotional residue of past delays. And it sends a clear message to every cell of your being. We no longer live in the vibration of fear. We now live in the unwavering reality of divine law. Now hear this. Most minds have been trained by the traumas of the past, by the limitations of culture, by the logic of the material world, and by the painful residue of memory. But your mind is now trained by a higher authority, the authority of divine truth. And truth is not a passive state. It is an active, spoken force. It is repetitive. It is rhythmic. This sentence is spoken as a mantra, as a sacred melody, as a spiritual metronome for your soul. Every time an old, limiting thought rises up from the depths of conditioning, it is replaced with the sentence. Every time a wave of fear flares up in the body, it is overridden with the sentence. Every time a feeling of being behind in life arises, a declaration that you have just arrived at your perfect, divinely timed destination is made. The mind does not argue with conviction. It bows to rhythm. It bends to repetition. Here is how the inner world is reprogrammed. Before sleep, the sentence is spoken aloud. It becomes the very last vibration the body hears. Upon waking, it is spoken again. It goes ahead into the day like a guardian angel. In moments of doubt or anxiety, it is spoken slowly, 3 times in a row, with deep breathing with each word. It is written down, repeated, even sung if it feels right. But it is never, ever allowed to die in the silence of fear. You are not merely trying to convince yourself of something. You are actively constructing a new mental track, a sacred spiritual groove in your consciousness. And once that groove is deep enough, it becomes your automatic reality. The old limiting beliefs simply cannot survive in the high vibration presence of spoken law. The new sentence becomes the internal operating software. And once the inner system changes, the outer experience must, by law, follow. It is spoken now, not as a lesson learned, but as a reprogramming tool actively being used. I now step into the life that has already been prepared for me. It appears within 24 hours, by divine law. A subtle shift is felt. That is not imagination. That is reality beginning to respond to a new command. Because the mind, once it is dominated by the power of the word, becomes the sacred womb of your divine demonstration. You are not your past thoughts. You are not your old programming. You are the speaker of divine truth. And today, your inner world begins again. And so it is. The universe does not respond to need. It responds to your word. Divine law does not act upon confusion. It acts upon clarity. Heaven does not move when you are in a state of panic. It moves when you are in a state of command. And the very moment you learn to speak your word as law, as a settled, established, and unquestionable truth, the entire architecture of the unseen realm begins to shift on your behalf. The particles of reality begin to rearrange themselves. The doors that were locked begin to unlock. The paths that were crooked begin to become straight. All because the voice of your spiritual authority has finally been heard. Now, hear this clearly. The command that makes the universe move is not a loud or a desperate one. It is an aligned one. It is the quiet, certain sound of someone who knows, not someone who begs, not someone who waits, not someone who wonders if it is all too late, but someone who understands the sacred covenant they walk in, the divine law that backs them, and the creative power of the sentence they are about to speak. And so, a sacred invitation is extended, not for entertainment, not for curiosity, but for divine and swift demonstration. For the next 3 days, yes, just 3 days, this sentence is spoken 4 times a day, once upon waking, once at midday, once before the sun sets, and once just before drifting into the midnight hours. Each time it is spoken, it is as a commander speaks to the sea, as one who parts the clouds with a single breath, as one who has nothing left to prove, but everything to claim. Here is the sentence, and this time it is said as if speaking the law of the land. I now step into the life that has already been prepared for me. It appears within 24 hours by divine law. The wording is not changed. Fear is not added to it. The universe is not asked how it will happen. The law does not require knowing the how. The law only requires alignment. And what will happen? The resistance of the old self may rise. The logical mind may begin to question it. But faithfulness to the rhythm is maintained. Because the moment that thin veil of doubt is pushed past, a palpable shift begins. Synchronicities are noticed. A message arrives out of the blue. A wave of profound peace washes over. The heavy weight of delay begins to lift from the shoulders. And then, within that 24-hour cycle, a tangible sign, a clear blessing, a definite movement will appear in life. Why? Because it was spoken, it was commanded, it was anchored in the field of reality, and the law cannot and will not return to you void. This is spoken now as the first command of this new day. I command my life into its perfect divine order. I speak with the authority of my true self. I expect my demonstration now. This is not about human ego. This is not about performing magic tricks. This is about spiritual maturity. You are not here on this earth to hope. You are here to govern. You are not here to suffer. You are here to speak. The universe does not favor the strong or the weak. It favors the speaker of aligned divine truth. So you speak, often, with a quiet fire, and know that each and every time the invisible realm bends to your will, the path unfolds before you and your divine supply begins to move. All because you have finally taken your rightful place as one who governs their reality through the power of the word. And so it is. Now, the word is sealed in a sacred rhythm. It is not reasoned with. It is not analyzed. It is affirmed. These declarations are not decorative phrases. They are spiritual charges, bolts of lightning sent into the unseen realm. Each one is a powerful strike against the illusion of delay. Each one is a vibration that rearranges your personal timeline. They are not whispered. They are declared. Every syllable becomes law as it leaves your mouth. These are spoken aloud with breath, with a quiet boldness, and with a steady, sacred rhythm. I now step into the life that has already been prepared for me. It appears within 24 hours, by divine law. I am not late. I am perfectly aligned. My supply is present now and rushing into its visible form. The old story is gone. The new demonstration begins. Spirit moves at the speed of my unwavering faith. I am not waiting anymore. I am actively receiving. I command with love, and the law responds with power. Again, I step in. It is prepared. It appears now. This is not spoken to convince anyone else. It is spoken to activate the divine blueprint within. Help is not asked for from the outside. The law is triggered from the inside. These words are not just tools. They are the living templates, spoken into the atmosphere of life, and they are building the form that demonstration will now follow. Now this closing seal is spoken, slowly, 3 times, with everything that you are. I speak, I align, I receive. I speak, I align, I receive. I speak, I align, I receive. This simple, powerful rhythm becomes your new reality. This sentence becomes your new foundation, and it is remembered each and every time you speak. Something is sent, something is stirred, something is summoned, and so it is. Now that you have spoken, you must keep speaking. Now that your power has been remembered, you must stay in the rhythm of it. You have not just reached the end of a teaching, you have crossed a sacred threshold into a new way of being. You have received a sentence not just to recite, but to live by. And if you truly walk in its power, if you speak it with the quiet dominion of your true self, you will begin to see the signs, the evidence, the shifts, the beautiful surprises, all beginning to unfold within 24 hours. Not because you have forced them, but because you have finally, lovingly, aligned. An invitation arises, not to perform for anyone, not to prove anything, but to declare commitment. In the waking world, a desire to write the sentence in the space below this message may emerge. Not for engagement, not for show, but as a conscious act of your own spiritual activation. The sentence echoes into this digital field, and the comment becomes a sacred contract with divine law. A gentle pull may be felt to type, I now step into the life that has already been prepared for me. It appears within 24 hours, by divine law. And to return to it later, to witness the alignment of so many other souls doing the same, to feel how your own faith is lifted by their declaration, and then to return and testify to the shifts being seen. Your word is not just an idea, it is a spiritual agreement. And if this is a space where your soul feels at home, a desire to remain in this powerful current of truth may lead you to subscribe. Not for more content, but for continued alignment. This channel becomes a daily reminder. This voice becomes the anchor that holds you steady when the world tries to distract you. This rhythm becomes the one that resets your vibration when the old fears try to creep in. You are not a seeker anymore. You are a speaker. You are a governor. You are one who walks by divine law. And now that you have spoken, watch what unfolds. Not by chance, not by human effort, but by the unbreakable, immutable law that states that what you speak in pure faith must and will Appear in perfect form. It is done. And so it is. Your wealth is not stuck. Your mouth is. You are not cursed by some external force. You are not forgotten by God. You have simply been out of rhythm with the divine laws of supply. Every single dollar that has ever come into your life and every single dollar that has stayed away has answered to one and only one authority: your word. Not your deepest desire, not your most strenuous effort, not your cleverest hustle. Your word, spoken with rhythm, with faith, in perfect alignment with the unseen spiritual law that governs the movement of all substance in the universe. I do not speak today as a philosopher speculating on the nature of reality. I speak as one who has witnessed time and time again men and women rise from the ashes of poverty into the power of true prosperity, not through worldly strategy, but through the disciplined application of spoken law. Their money changed the very day their mouth changed. Their outer conditions began to obey the new commands of their tongue. You were never taught this truth because the world does not want you to know it. The world system thrives on begging, reacting, reasoning, and grinding your way through life. But the spiritual law of your own being wants you declaring. Divine law wants you commanding. And when you learn to speak in perfect rhythm with that higher law, the energy of wealth becomes your obedient servant, not your cruel and unpredictable master. And so, a readiness emerges to stop rehearsing the current condition and start speaking your infinite supply. A readiness to burn the lie that says money is random and ignite the truth that says money is obedient. Because your mouth is not a mere decoration on your face. It is the divine switchboard of your manifestation. It is the sacred instrument through which the unseen substance of the universe becomes your visible reality. And the very moment you begin to speak as one who is aligned with spirit, the illusion of lack must and will leave your experience. Now we begin. What was hidden is revealed. Your voice is trained to become the command center of your wealth. The 9 sacred spoken laws that change everything are shown. In the beginning was the Word, not the effort, not the strategy, not the human wisdom, the Word. And the Word was with God, and the Word was God. This is not a line of poetry. It is a divine blueprint. It is a profound revelation. It is the core instruction for all creation. If the entire universe itself was spoken into being, how can you for a moment doubt that your own small financial reality responds to the very same law? You are not separate from your source. You were created in the very image and likeness of the Creator. And to be made in that image means that you possess the innate, God-given power to speak form into existence. You have, in fact, spoken your world into its current condition. The great tragedy is not that your voice is weak, but that it has been tragically undirected. You have declared your own struggle while desperately hoping for an overflow. You have cursed your bank account in private while praying for an increase in public. You have repeated phrases like, "It's never enough," and "I just don't know how I'll make it," and then wondered why the divine substance of the universe has remained locked away behind a seemingly impenetrable veil. But spiritual law does not negotiate. It simply fulfills what is spoken. It multiplies what is repeated. It delivers not what is wanted in the heart, but what is said with conviction in the voice. Every law of wealth is activated by a specific vibration, and that vibration is released most powerfully through the spoken word. When you speak, you are not just making noise. You are issuing spiritual commands. You are instructing your subconscious mind. You are setting a creative power into motion, and that power obeys one thing: your word. When it is spoken with rhythm, with faith, with authority, it becomes the unbreakable law of your life. This is why the power of spoken truth is taught, not the weakness of whispered hope. This is why a new knowing arises to speak declarations aloud on a daily and rhythmic basis. Because your voice is not for communication alone. It is for creation. Until your word changes, your world cannot. The truth may be believed in the heart, understood in the mind, but until it is spoken out into the ethers, the law of demonstration remains dormant. Heaven moves on the frequency of vibration, not on the silence of unexpressed belief. You were never taught this, because the world prefers silence. It prefers you stuck in your own thoughts, bound by confusion, forever reacting to circumstances instead of commanding them. But you are not here to be a beggar at the gate of wealth. You are here to be a commander of spiritual substance, and your command begins with your word. So now, what was hidden is revealed. How to speak with power, with rhythm, and with unwavering faith is shown. The 9 sacred laws that govern the flow of wealth through the power of your voice are given. This is not to impress, this is to free, because when your tongue becomes obedient to the truth, your life becomes a continuous miracle. Your tongue is not just a piece of flesh in your mouth, it is fire. It is the sacred gateway through which divine law enters the world of matter. It is the spiritual sword that cuts through the dense illusion of lack. And if it is not consciously trained, it will inevitably betray you. It will echo what is feared instead of what is believed. It will rehearse what is seen in the world instead of declaring what must be so. That is why your spoken word becomes a disciplined practice. Wealth is not gotten by simply thinking positive thoughts. Wealth is gotten by speaking with a steady rhythm, with a quiet authority, and with a full and complete agreement between spirit and speech. Most people speak like beggars. They hope with their lips, but they doubt with their breath. They sprinkle in a few affirmations in the morning, and then they sabotage them with a litany of complaints for the rest of the day. They declare their abundance, and then they say things to their friends like, "Money's just not coming in right now," or "I never seem to catch a break." That is not spiritual power. That is vibrational confusion. And divine law does not reward confusion. It fulfills clarity. It obeys consistency. It multiplies what is spoken with an unwavering rhythm, and so a new knowing arises. Stop describing life. Start declaring it. Stop waiting for conditions to change before changing language. Language is changed first, and then conditions have no choice but to obey. Each and every day begins with the truth, spoken not as a hope, but as a law. Your soul affirms, "My words are divine substance. I do not speak my opinions. I speak my wealth into being." You learn to speak to your bank account. You speak to your bills. You speak to your email inbox. You speak to the wallet in your hand. You no longer report what is seen with physical eyes. You command what must appear according to a higher law. This is not pretending. This is training. You are not speaking to feel better. You are speaking to form. A new reality. And that formation happens through the power of rhythm and through the disciplined practice of spoken substitution. Every single time, a fear-based thought begins to form in the mind, it is substituted with a bold declaration of truth. Every time the mouth opens to utter a complaint, it is interrupted with the power of your word. Your spirit affirms, "I am the living vessel of divine supply. All that is mine by spiritual right now appears." Your soul declares, "Because I speak in a steady rhythm, I receive in a steady rhythm." A new truth settles in. My words are the seeds of my wealth, and my harvest is now. Rehearsing fear is no longer allowed. Making jokes about being broke is no longer allowed. Echoing the old programming of the past, and then crying out to God for a new provision is no longer allowed. Your mouth becomes a sanctuary, a temple, a high-frequency chamber where only the truth of abundance is allowed to echo. And that truth, when spoken often enough, becomes a core belief, and that belief, when fused with a steady rhythm, becomes tangible form. A new practice begins with a journal. The declarations that most disturb the old, limited identity being left behind are written down. They are read aloud every single morning. They are spoken again at noon. The day is sealed with them again at night. This is not a superstitious act. This is an act of spiritual architecture. You are not trying to get rich. You are consciously becoming the person who cannot possibly avoid it. Because once your mouth belongs entirely to the law of good, your wealth cannot and will not disobey you. There is a divine science to your speech, a sacred rhythm to your spoken creation. And once it is learned, not just mentally, but in the very cells of your body, your world will begin to obey your mouth instead of your mood. These first 3 laws are the foundational pillars. They are the bedrock upon which all spoken wealth securely rests. They are not skipped over. They are not rushed through. They are not merely interesting ideas. They are living frequencies, and when they are aligned with, they have the power to bend the very substance of the unseen world into the visible forms that you desire. Asterisk, asterisk, Law 1. The Law of Creative Declaration. Asterisk, asterisk. The first law is simple, it is absolute, and it is divinely powerful. It is this: I speak my wealth, and my wealth obeys. This is not a poetic turn of phrase. This is a statement of vibrational law. Words create energetic molds, and into those molds, the formless substance of the universe must pour. There is no waiting to see a change in circumstances before declaring it. The change is spoken into being, with a knowing in every fiber of the soul that the divine law of the word never returns void. Your soul affirms, money now flows to me richly, joyfully and endlessly. A new truth settles in. All the channels of my divine supply are now wide open, and your spirit declares, I speak my wealth into its perfect form now, not later. These truths are declared not as one asking for permission, but as one carrying the scepter of their own divine dominion. This law shatters the weakness of passive affirmations. It removes the timid, hopeful quality of a soft and uncertain spirituality. This is not about manifesting through fleeting emotions. This is about manifesting through the power of divine command. And when your voice comes into perfect alignment with the truth of your being, nothing in the material world can resist the form that it demands. Asterisk, asterisk, Law 2. The Law of Repetition. Asterisk, asterisk. What is repeated is resurrected. Most people in their unconscious state repeat the patterns of failure. They repeat their stories of lack as a form of humor, as a habit of worry, as a way to connect with others through shared struggle. They do not realize that their very repetition is an act of resurrection. They are calling the ghost of their past failures back into their present reality. But now, this process is reversed. What is repeated is consciously chosen. What is resurrected is consciously chosen. A new rhythm of speaking about wealth begins. So consistently, so rhythmically, so boldly, that the entire deep structure of the subconscious mind will begin to bend and reform itself toward a state of constant increase. There is no worry if it feels foreign or even false at first. That is a very good sign. It means a successful rewiring of the internal rhythm is underway. The first time a new authority arises and says, I am a richly and abundantly supplied child of God, the body may flinch, the mind may resist. But it is said again, and again, and again. It is said until the old rhythm of lack breaks, until the inner contradiction in the soul shatters, until the language of wealth becomes the new and native tongue. Repetition is not foolishness. It is the very mechanism of spiritual programming. It is how the law of the mind rewrites the script of reality. Asterisk, asterisk, Law 3. The Law of Substitution. Asterisk, asterisk. Every single time a fear-based thought attempts to escape the lips, it is stopped, it is replaced, and a greater truth is spoken over it. That is the essence of the law of substitution. It is impossible to hold two opposing vibrations in consciousness at the same time. So, when one arises, a conscious and deliberate choice is made for the one that will be dominant. When the voice of lack whispers, this will probably never work, a new authority immediately arises. It is already working now, whether I can see it or not. When the voice of fear asks, but what if I fail again? It is answered with, divine success is the only inevitable outcome for me. When the voice of doubt says, a bit smugly, you need to be realistic, a new declaration is made. I serve a spiritual law that is higher than all earthly appearances. You are no longer a slave to your own reactive speech. You are now a master of divine substitution. Reaction is replaced with a conscious rhythm. Fear is replaced with a holy fire. Confusion is replaced with a clear command. These three laws, creative declaration, repetition, and substitution, form the powerful root system of all spoken wealth. They are practiced daily. They are spoken aloud. They are drilled into the very soil of the spirit. Because once these three laws are deeply installed, the voice becomes law. And once the voice becomes law, life becomes the living evidence of it. If the first three laws of spoken wealth build a solid foundation, then the next three laws purify alignment. These are the laws that lovingly close the gap between what is said with the mouth and what is actually lived in the heart. Because many people learn to speak the words of wealth, but their energy continues to leak the vibration of fear. Many affirm their abundance, but immediately contradict it with their tone of voice, with a self-deprecating joke, with a sigh of resignation, or with some other form of casual self-sabotage. But spiritual law is exact. It multiplies the signal being sent, not just the intention being held. If the signal is fractured and inconsistent, the harvest will be scattered and unpredictable. These next 3 laws are designed to bring the entire vibration into a state of powerful, unified agreement, so that when you speak, your whole being becomes the command. Asterisk, asterisk, Law 4, the law of non-contradiction, asterisk, asterisk, asterisk. It is impossible to bless life and curse it with the same tongue. It is impossible to affirm abundance in a morning meditation and then spend the afternoon gossiping about bills. It is impossible to speak of prosperity and then turn around and make jokes about being broke. The universe does not read sincerity, it reads the dominant rhythm. It reads what is said most consistently, not just what is meant in the best moments. This law requires a new level of purity in speech, a consistency of vibration, a sacred tongue that no longer plays for both sides. A choice is made, a new truth settles in. I no longer contradict myself. My word is pure, my word is law. Every single time, a word that contradicts the truth of abundance is about to be spoken. A pause is taken, a breath, and a higher word is spoken. The greater law is declared. You are no longer in the business of rehearsing both faith and fear. A side is chosen. And because the side of truth is now chosen, reality will begin to reflect only that truth. Asterisk, asterisk. Law 5, the law of divine naming. Asterisk, asterisk. A new understanding dawns. To name the things in the world rightly. For what is named is claimed. What is labeled is locked into place. Most people, in their spiritual slumber, name their situations based on the appearance of fear. They call a financial challenge bad luck. They call a setback a disaster. They call a period of waiting a never-ending struggle. And spiritual law, in its perfect obedience, says, so be it. As you have named it, so it is. But you now learn to name your world according to the divine truth that lies behind the appearance. It is no longer called debt. It is called a temporary appearance of lack that is now dissolving in the light of God's abundance. It is no longer called a recession. It is called a divine reallocation of wealth that is now flowing into my hands. What is desired to be seen is named, not what is feared to exist. The story of creation comes to mind. God brought form out of chaos by an act of divine naming. Let there be light. Let the waters be gathered. He did not describe the darkness. He did not explain the chaos. He named what he wanted to see, and what was named appeared. This same divine law is yours to walk in now. Your soul speaks, I name what must appear in my life. I name my divine supply into its visible form. I name myself wealthy, and so I become. Asterisk, asterisk. Law 6, the law of embodied tone. Asterisk, asterisk. Words are not just empty sentences. They are living containers of frequency, and the tone of voice with which they are spoken determines their creative power. To affirm wealth with a tone of underlying uncertainty is to inject the declaration with the poison of doubt. To speak truth from a place of weariness and resignation is to significantly weaken the vibration of the word. But to speak from a place of true embodiment, where the tone of voice reflects a deep inner ownership of the truth, is to invite the law of the universe to respond immediately. This is why some people can say affirmations every single day and see no tangible results. Their tone of voice betrays their inner state. They are merely reciting words, not commanding a reality. But you now learn to speak as one who is already supplied. You speak of wealth as if it is as natural and as certain as the oxygen you breathe. Your good is declared with the quiet, firm, and unwavering voice of the one who has already received the answer. Your spirit affirms, my tone of voice now carries the frequency of my wealth. I speak as one who already has. I do not ask for my good. I declare it. When you begin to live by these 3 powerful laws, non-contradiction, divine naming, and embodied tone, mixed signals are no longer sent out into the field of creation. You become a clear and powerful vessel, a pure sonic channel, a vibrational authority, and your voice becomes magnetic. It begins to attract your good to you without any sense of strain. It draws your desires to you without the need for chasing, because you are no longer speaking from a place of human effort. You are speaking from a place of divine alignment. Now that the foundation has been set and alignment has been purified, a movement into the sacred laws of manifestation and multiplication begins. These final 3 laws are not passive truths to be contemplated. They are active, spiritual weapons. They are the laws that move money. They dissolve the barriers of time and space. They open the gates of good, and they do not wait for conditions to be perfect. They wait only for bold and unwavering alignment. These are the laws of divine speech that call things forth from the unseen, that bless the seed for an abundant return, and that ensure that every word released in faith will always return, pressed down, shaken together, and running over. Asterisk, asterisk. Law 7. The law of prophetic speech. Asterisk, asterisk. You are not here on this earth to simply speak about what already is. You are here to speak into being what must be. Prophetic speech is not about predicting the future. It is not about fortune-telling. It is the act of using authoritative command to shape the future. You are not speaking based on current emotions or the evidence of the senses. You are speaking based on the unwavering truth of divine law. You are speaking to asterisk, create asterisk, not just to react. When the bills seem to be piling up, fear is not spoken of. A new knowing arises with a calm authority. This is already paid in full by the invisible substance of God, which is now being made visible. When a client cancels a contract or a job opportunity falls through, disappointment is not spoken of. Your soul affirms, "Thank you, Father, that something even better is already being arranged for me by the divine mind." The so-called facts of the current situation are no longer echoed. The higher truth that governs that situation is released. Prophetic speech has the power to bend time. It collapses the period of waiting. It announces the arrival of supply as if it were already walking through the front door. A new truth settles in. I speak the future I desire into my present moment. I call forth what belongs to me by divine right, and I call it forth now. My word is prophetic. It does not and cannot return to me void. Asterisk, asterisk. Law 8. The law of sealed giving. Asterisk, asterisk. The act of giving, when done in silence, is a missed opportunity for multiplication. It is like planting a precious seed in the ground and then failing to water it. But to speak a word of blessing and command over every gift given, every tithe paid, every act of generosity, is to activate the divine law of multiplication. This is the law of sealed giving. No longer is a dollar dropped into a collection plate in silence. No longer is money transferred to a cause without first attaching a spiritual rhythm to it. Over every gift, a new knowing arises. This seed is now blessed. It goes forth to do its perfect work, and it returns to me multiplied. It opens divine doors of opportunity for me that no man can shut. This is not a superstitious practice. It is a form of spiritual mathematics. Every gift, when sealed with a spoken word of faith, becomes a powerful divine transaction, and the law of the universe does not ignore a spoken tithe. It records it, it honors it, and it increases it. Even when a small amount is given, it is given with a bold word. Your soul affirms, even my smallest seed carries the power of infinite increase, because I have spoken over it in truth. Asterisk, asterisk. Law 9. The law of return. Asterisk, asterisk. Every single word released from the lips is a spiritual boomerang. It leaves your presence on a specific frequency, and it must, by law, return, carrying a form that matches that frequency. If words of peace are spoken, it will return as a feeling of clarity and calm. If words of wealth are spoken, it will return as a tangible opportunity or a surprising check. If words of multiplication are spoken, the law of the universe will rush to obey. The law of return is absolute. It does not choose sides. It does not hesitate. It simply fulfills the frequency sent out. If you speak in a state of doubt, it will return in the form of delay. If you speak in a state of certainty, it will return in the form of acceleration. A new knowing echoes in the sanctuary of your spirit. What I speak now returns to me, multiplied, pressed down, shaken together, and overflowing. My words are the living seeds of my wealth. The return is guaranteed because the law of my word has been sealed. When you begin to live by these final 3 laws, prophetic speech, sealed giving, and return. You become a true spiritual architect. You are literally building wealth with the power of your voice. You are assigning every word spoken a divine mission. You are declaring the end of the story from the very beginning, and the law, being ever faithful, will always answer. Because your speech is no longer casual. It is a sacred covenant. It is not a mere suggestion. It is a spiritual instruction sent out into the field of creation with the absolute command to return, bearing all of your good, and it must and it will return. Now that the 9 sacred laws of spoken wealth are known, you become the living vessel that carries them. Because knowledge without embodiment is just another form of delay, and the only thing that ever truly blocks the flow of supply is the unreprogrammed mind. Not the people around you, not the state of the market, not some stroke of bad luck. It is the silent looping program that runs beneath the surface of declarations. It is the old, inherited beliefs that whisper contradictions while the lips are trying to speak the truth. But the subconscious mind is not an enemy. It is the most powerful amplifier. It simply and faithfully repeats whatever it hears with the most rhythm and emotion. It cannot tell the difference between what has been vividly imagined and what has been actually experienced. It only records and repeats. It only installs what is consistently spoken and consistently felt. So now, the sacred work of reprogramming begins. These 9 laws are spoken not just once, but rhythmically, in the morning, at midday, and at night, when feeling inspired and when feeling tired. They are spoken until the old vibration crumbles under the sheer weight and power of the new voice. There is no need to feel it at first for it to be working. It is simply repeated until the old, limited self is completely overwritten by the new, divine rhythm. A daily practice for this sacred reprogramming unfolds. In the morning, you rise and the first 3 laws are spoken aloud. The law of creative declaration, the law of repetition, and the law of substitution. The tone for the day is set before the world has a chance to interrupt the frequency. Your soul affirms, "I speak my wealth, and my wealth obeys." A new knowing arises. My tongue now creates only divine conditions for my day. At midday, a pause is taken, and an alignment with the laws of purified speech occurs. Any contradictions that have crept into thinking or speaking are cleaned up. The truth is respoken. Any gossip about lack is refused. If a state of reaction is caught, a pause is taken, and that reaction is substituted with a conscious declaration immediately. Your soul affirms, "I name only what I desire to see." A new feeling takes root. My tone of voice now carries the frequency of my wealth. In the evening, the day is sealed with the final 3 laws of manifestation. Any giving that has been done is spoken over. The future is spoken into prophetically. An expectation of a positive return is declared. The subconscious mind drifts into a state of rest under the gentle and powerful sound of prophetic command. Your spirit declares, "This seed is anointed, it is blessed, and it is multiplied." And a final truth settles in. Every word I have spoken today in faith now returns to me fulfilled. The law does not require declarations to be shouted, but it does require them to be believed. And belief is not a fleeting feeling. It is a frequency established by the power of the word, repeated until the subconscious mind finally yields and accepts it as the new truth. The old stories in the mind will resist. The old patterns of lack will try to push back, but there is no bowing to them, no self-explanation, no endless processing. There is only speaking again, repeating again, substituting again. This is done until the old program shifts, until the inner dialogue changes its tune, until you are no longer just affirming the truth. You have become it. When this is done with a gentle but firm consistency, outer life cannot possibly resist the change. Conditions will begin to shift. Supply will begin to flow. Opportunities will appear, seemingly without any effort. Why? Because you are no longer a divided signal sending out mixed messages of faith and fear. You have become a unified, powerful rhythm of divine law. This is not a trick. This is not a psychological hack. This is a profound act of spiritual reprogramming through the power of rhythmic speech. And once this new program is fully installed, it becomes the very atmosphere of life. Because now, wealth does not just visit, it lives in your voice. You have heard the 9 laws. You have felt their vibration. You have seen the sacred structure that lies behind your own spoken word. But as we have said, knowledge without command is still a form of delay. Revelation without a daily ritual is still just unused power. And so now, an invitation arises, not as a punishment, but as a preparation. If you are truly ready to walk in this world as the commander of your own wealth, then you must begin to speak as one, to live as one, to act as one. Because your wealth is not waiting on worthiness, it is waiting on command. A sacred invitation unfolds to choose any 3 of the 9 laws that have been shared, the ones that struck the soul most deeply, the ones that convicted the tongue of its past misdeeds, the ones that whispered, "This is the truth that you have forgotten." Then, for the next 7 days, these 3 laws are spoken aloud 7 times each day. Not to impress God, not to manipulate the flow of money, but to build a vibrational momentum that is so exact, so powerful, and so undeniable that reality itself will have no choice but to rearrange itself in your favor. A personal decree based on these 3 laws is created. It is written down by hand, posted on a mirror, on a desk, somewhere the eyes cannot possibly avoid. It is read aloud at sunrise, spoken in the middle of the day's chaos, declared over a wallet, a phone, a schedule, over bank accounts. The voice baptizes everything touched in the high and holy vibration of this divine truth. The sound becomes a spiritual sword that cuts through the dense illusion of all delay. And when the resistance comes, and it will, there is no folding, no asking for confirmation from the outside world, no checking the bank account for numbers, no inspecting the fruit before the root has had a chance to form. There is just speaking again. Rhythm is the secret. Rhythm is the law. Rhythm is the sacred portal through which all invisible substance takes on its visible shape. A new truth is felt now. I do not describe my life anymore. I declare it. I do not wait for my wealth. I call it forth. I am not hoping for a breakthrough. I am commanding my substance. Trying to be ready ceases. Being rhythmic begins. Trying to feel powerful ceases. Being aligned begins. The vibration of the word does not need a mood. It needs a mouth. This is not a theory. This is not a piece of motivation. This is not a pep talk wrapped in pretty scripture. This is spiritual law, and it is waiting to be obeyed. For so long, the question has been, when will my good come? And the answer is this: it will come when you speak and do not stop speaking. It will come when you declare and do not retreat from your declaration. It will come when you plant the same word of truth over and over and over again until the harvest becomes an absolute inevitability. The angels are listening. The field of creation is open. The substance of the universe is moving. But it is not desire that activates it. It is your voice. So you rise now. You choose 3 laws. You speak them daily. You seal your giving with a word. You subtract your contradictions. You embody your new tone of wealth, and you return to that sacred rhythm again and again until your spoken word becomes your spoken wealth. You are no longer available for a conversation about scarcity. You are no longer rehearsing the stories of limitation. You are no longer waiting for the world to agree with your vision, because a decision has been made. And once a decision is made in the consciousness of the law, all of creation must obey. Now it is engraved. This vibration is sealed with a final powerful rhythm. The entire energy field is programmed with a holy fire. These are not affirmations designed to soothe the ego. These are divine declarations intended to restructure the invisible realm. This is your sword. This is your rhythm. This is your new spiritual economy, rewritten by the undeniable power of your own voice. It is spoken aloud with power. My voice creates my wealth. I do not wonder. I do not wish. I declare, and it is done. Every word I speak is a seed of divine increase. I sow in a steady rhythm. I reap in a steady rhythm. There is no delay in the law of my word. I do not echo the sound of lack. I command the presence of supply. My tongue is no longer available for the language of fear. It speaks only that which aligns with the eternal truth. I tithe with my word. I give with my command. I receive with my authority. Every seed I plant is sealed in my speech. Every return is guaranteed by the law. My tone of voice now carries the very frequency of wealth. I speak as one who is already supplied. I declare as one who is already filled. Because I obey the sacred laws of spoken wealth, money cannot ignore me. Not sometimes, not maybe, never again. I speak and the law responds. I declare and the doors open. It is felt again. Because I obey the sacred laws of spoken wealth, money cannot ignore me. That truth is felt. It registers in the bones. It replaces the old, tired language of lack. It rises up through the blood like a new and holy covenant. It is spoken upon waking. It is spoken when power is forgotten. It is spoken when the voice of doubt knocks on the door. It is spoken until the frequency becomes an undeniable force in the universe. These words are not repeated to convince yourself. They are repeated to program creation. The field of the universe responds to rhythm, and your rhythm is the final and most powerful form of your faith. Now it is sealed. The final decree echoes out through the atmosphere. I am the voice of wealth, and I cannot be silenced. If this message has ignited something deep within your soul, if it has called out the part of you that has always known that wealth was a spiritual matter, that has always felt that your words carried a holy fire, that has always sensed that the story of lack was a profound lie, then this moment is not left untouched. It is not passed by like just another teaching. It marks you. It shapes you. It becomes your new and unbreakable covenant with the divine law of your own being. In the waking world, a gentle pull may be felt to comment below this message with the one law that pierced your old rhythm the most, the one you were never taught, but now you will never, ever forget. Was it the law of creative declaration, the law of embodied tone, or the law of sealed giving? To write it down, to speak it, to own it, not for me, but for you, for your own energy field, for the invisible realm that is waiting to respond to your clear and conscious command. And if this voice of truth has felt like coming home, then a desire to subscribe may emerge. Not to follow me, but to follow the rhythm of your own awakening. Because every video found here is not just entertainment. It is a recalibration. It is an act of spiritual alignment. It is a daily return to the profound truth that you are not a seeker of wealth anymore. You are a speaker of it. You are not a beggar for your good. You are a builder of it. You are not waiting for your provision. You are commanding it through the power of divine law. An invitation arises to come back tomorrow, to watch this again, to speak again, to choose a law and walk in it for the day. And to remember, rhythm is not just a tool you use. It is the very vibration that has the power to reorder everything in your life. When you align with the laws of spoken wealth, your spoken wealth must align with you. You are not behind. You are not too late. You are not broken. You are the voice. You are the rhythm. You are the gate. And because you align with the law, money cannot and will not ignore you. And so it is. You have chased money long enough. You have struggled. You have worried. You have strained. And you have feared. You have lived life like a desperate beggar at a feast, rather than the divine heir of the kingdom. But today, your struggle ends. Today, one powerful, sacred sentence, a divine decree that has the inherent power to shift your entire financial vibration and to allow the energy of money to find you effortlessly and joyfully, becomes known. You see, my dear, money is not meant to be chased. Money is meant to respond. It is meant to respond to your spoken word, to your clear command, to your deep spiritual alignment. Your word is law in your own world, and the universe listens closely, waiting for the exact moment when your tongue issues a clear, confident, and uncompromising decree. Money, in its truest and purest sense, is simply energy. It is an obedient spiritual substance that moves at the command of your vibration. Up until this very moment, commands of scarcity, of limitation, or of delay may have been unknowingly issued, and then a wonder arose as to why the beautiful energy of abundance seems to avoid you. Today, that deep misunderstanding is permanently corrected. Today, the one sentence that instructs the infinite source, the divine intelligence of the universe, to open every hidden doorway of abundance, is learned. Today, your financial destiny shifts. Money will no longer evade you. It will seek you out. It will find you. It will follow you, and it will flow to you effortlessly and ceaselessly. A state of financial anxiety is no longer lived in. A state of divine certainty is lived in. Because when one learns to speak correctly, one understands clearly and completely that wealth is not an accidental occurrence. It is a vibrational reality. Wealth is not hard-won through struggle. It is spiritually commanded through alignment. And today, your sacred tongue becomes the divine instrument that releases your full inheritance. Your spirit is prepared. Your doubt is quieted. You have arrived at the turning point. And from this moment forward, your financial life will never be the same again. The universe is not ruled by luck. It is not ruled by chance. It is ruled by law, precise, immutable, and divine law. And among the highest and most powerful of these is the law of the spoken word. From the very beginning of time, as it is told, God created with sound. "Let there be light," he said, and there was light. That word was not a gentle suggestion. It was not a hopeful wish. It was a divine command. And that same creative authority has been gifted to you as a child made in His image. Your voice is not a mere decoration. It is a powerful, creative force. Every single word spoken carries a specific vibration, and every vibration emitted issues an instruction to the very substance of the universe. When you speak from a place of fear, that fear takes on form in your life. When you speak from a place of truth, that truth becomes your tangible substance. So when it is said that a single well-spoken sentence can bring money to you, it is not spoken from a place of fantasy. It is spoken from a place of eternal law. The scripture declares in the book of Job, "Thou shalt also decree a thing, and it shall be established unto thee." It does not say that you must first understand it. It does not say that you must earn it. It does not say that you must feel perfectly worthy of it. It says that you must decree it. A decree is a spiritual verdict. It is a final word on a matter. It is spoken from a place of authority, not from a place of begging. And most people, when it comes to the subject of money, speak like beggars. They ask, they plead, they worry, and they wonder, but they do not declare. They say, "I hope I can afford it," or "I'm always so broke," or "Money just doesn't come easily to people like me." And the law of the universe, being perfectly and lovingly obedient, fulfills those exact statements. You see, the power of the spoken word is not metaphorical. It is mechanical. It sets a divine law into motion. It places the very gears of supply into movement. It either opens or closes the gates of provision. Money does not move based on emotion or struggle. It moves according to the vibrational instructions it receives, and the clearest and most powerful way to issue that instruction is through bold, rhythmic, and spiritual speech. There is no such thing as neutrality in speech. Every word uttered is a cause. Every sentence spoken is a seed. And most people are unknowingly sowing seeds of poverty with the currency of their daily dialogue. This is way too expensive, they say. I just never seem to have enough, they sigh. And then they wonder why the energy of money seems to hide from them. But the one who understands the law knows that money is not scarce. It is not cruel. It is not hiding. It is simply and patiently waiting for a clear command from a spiritually aligned voice. Let this truth pierce the veil of old thinking. Money is not attracted to life by effort. It is attracted to life by authority. And that authority is expressed not through the stress in the body, but through the speech from the mouth. When you begin to speak as one who is in conscious command of spiritual law, everything in life will begin to shift. Resources will appear. Opportunities will open. Doors that have been locked for years will swing wide. And it will not be because you hustled harder, but because you spoke with a new and holy power. Do not underestimate the creative force of a single, well-spoken sentence. One sentence, spoken in a state of spiritual alignment, with a steady and rhythmic repetition, and with an unwavering inner belief, can undo a lifetime of financial limitation. It can uproot generations of inherited lack thinking. It can completely rewire the subconscious mind and instruct the divine intelligence of the universe to send supply swiftly, generously, and without any resistance. This is not the power of positive thinking. This is not the weakness of wishing. This is the power of divine law. It is the same law that governs the turning of the tides, the movement of the planets, and the changing of the seasons. And it does not fail. It does not sleep. It does not argue. It simply and perfectly fulfills your command. Whether that command is rooted in the illusion of fear or the reality of truth is entirely up to you. So now, the exact sentence to speak is given, a sentence forged in the divine fire of truth, a sentence that, when spoken faithfully and lawfully, must and will bring money to your side. Let this instruction be given, not as the world teaches, but as the truth of Spirit teaches. The world says that you must work harder, that you must try more, that you must figure it all out, that you must stay up late and fight your way forward. But the truth of Spirit says, "Speak the word only, and thy servant shall be healed." The truth says, life and death are in the power of the tongue. The truth says, your word is your wand. So what has been done with that sacred wand? Have you been speaking as a divine creator or as a worldly casualty? Have you been declaring your wealth or complaining about your lack? It is impossible to speak two different languages and expect to receive a clear response from the universe. It is impossible to declare abundance in a morning prayer and then complain about money problems in the afternoon and expect divine supply to obey. For the law is perfectly clear. It responds only to the most dominant vibration, and the dominant vibration is established by what is repeated, what is said with rhythm, and what is felt in the heart. A choice is made today to become disciplined in speech, not casual, not soft, not reactive, but deliberate, bold, spiritual, and rhythmic. Because life will always be a perfect reflection of language. If the bank account is in a state of disorder, the vocabulary is checked. If debts seem to be multiplying, the daily declarations are checked. If needs always seem to outweigh income, the cause is not looked for in the economy, but in the tongue. For your mouth is the sacred gate through which divine supply either flows freely or is blocked. When you speak from a place of fear, you activate the law of substitution, but in reverse. You are substituting the eternal truth of your abundance for the temporary illusion of your lack. You say, I just can't afford this. And the law of your being replies, as you wish. You say, it's always something, isn't it? And the law of the universe answers, let it be done unto you exactly as you have spoken. You say, money never seems to stay with me. And so it faithfully flees. The law is not punishing, it is serving, but it cannot serve an abundance that is refused to be declared. And so, from this day forward, the tongue is not allowed to utter a single phrase of lack. The world's limited vocabulary is not repeated. Only that which is wished to be seen multiplied in life is spoken. Only that which is desired to be demonstrated is declared. For the word is the sacred mold, and divine substance is the willing material that flows in to fill it. Every morning, before the phone is checked, before work is touched, you speak. Every evening, before your head is laid down to rest, you speak. You speak clearly. You speak as one who is already perfectly provided for. You speak not as a beggar asking for a handout, but as a builder constructing a new reality. Not as a seeker looking for an answer, but as a speaker who is the answer. For the mouth of the righteous is a fountain of life, and today, your mouth becomes a fountain of wealth. There is no waiting until you feel rich to begin to speak as the rich. You speak it first. Feelings will then follow the new frequency set. Conditions will then obey the new confession. This is the divine order of all creation. The word always goes first. The spoken declaration creates the unseen form. Then, and only then, does it become visible in the world. And when you speak with feeling. You speak with rhythm. You speak with the absolute and unshakable conviction that what you are decreeing is already an established fact in the invisible realm. There is no wondering if it is working. There is a knowing that it must work, because the law of your being never fails. And so, a readiness emerges to speak like a master, a readiness to issue new financial instructions to the universe, not from a place of fear, but from a place of divine authority. A readiness to stop seeking and start declaring. Then the spirit is prepared, because now the exact sentence is given, a spiritual decree that has been tested by time, proven by law, and will be fulfilled by heaven. This sentence does not ask for money, it commands it. It does not beg for supply, it releases it. And when it is spoken rhythmically, daily, faithfully, and lawfully, money must and will find you. The sentence is this: Infinite Spirit, open the way for my immediate supply. Let all that is mine by divine, right now, reach me in great avalanches of abundance. This is not a pretty poetic phrase. It is a spiritual command. It is a living key forged in the divine fire of truth. When spoken faithfully, it has the power to move mountains of debt, to dissolve the illusion of delay, and to release divine provision through channels that the rational mind could never possibly predict. You are not speaking to a person. You are not pleading with an institution. You are issuing a direct instruction to Infinite Spirit, your true source, your only supply, the divine presence and intelligence that orchestrates all visible manifestation in the universe. Let us break this sacred sentence apart, word by word, so the soul may fully grasp its profound depth, and the spirit may learn to speak it with an unwavering and holy authority. Infinite Spirit. You begin by addressing the true source, not your job, not your bank, not the stock market. You are consciously bypassing all of the limited earthly channels and speaking directly to the infinite. For money is not generated by man. It is only distributed through man. It flows from God. When the words Infinite Spirit are felt, a declaration is made that trust is no longer in the temporary economy of the world, but in the eternal economy of heaven. A recognition that the divine intelligence of the universe is the one and only origin of all wealth occurs. The gaze is returned to the inexhaustible storehouse of heaven, not to the empty shelves of men. Open the way. This is a command, not a suggestion. The divine law of being is instructed to remove all of the subconscious interference that has been blocking good. It is commanded to dissolve every unseen block and to reveal the clear, open doorway through which supply can now freely flow. This is the law of non-resistance in beautiful action. A particular outcome is not being forced. All friction is simply commanded to be removed. A closed door is not being pushed against. The word that parts the waters is spoken, and Spirit, being the perfect intelligence that it is, knows exactly which channels must now open. It may be a surprising phone call. It may be a debt that is suddenly forgiven. It may be a new job offer. It may be a brilliant creative idea. But it will be the perfect way, the peaceful way, the surprising and joyful way. The how does not need to be decided, only that the way be opened is commanded. For my immediate supply. Supply is not asked for to come one day. It is not begged for to arrive someday. Now is spoken of. Immediacy is spoken of. It is understood that a divine delay is never a divine denial. But many people have been speaking so vaguely, just hoping for some eventual provision. No more. Immediate supply is now spoken of, because it is known that in the realm of spirit, there is no time. There is only the divine order of now. What is truly yours already exists in its perfect and complete form in the invisible. The only thing that has ever created a delay is the hesitation in command. But now, having spoken this sentence lawfully, supply is claimed in this present moment. Not in a rushed or a desperate way, but right on God's perfect schedule, which is always now. This first portion of the sentence is what sets the spiritual machinery into motion. It bypasses all learned limitation, it breaks through all subconscious resistance, and it begins to flood the energy field with a new vibration of provision. It is the law of substitution in action, replacing old fear with a new clarity. It is the law of expectancy, magnetizing invisible supply into its visible form. As these words are spoken, it is known that you are not merely repeating a spiritual formula. You are issuing a divine directive. You are commanding the heavens to move, the channels to open, and the wealth that has already been assigned to your name to arrive without any further delay. You do not merely say this sentence, you declare it. You do not recite it from memory. You speak it from the seat of power. You speak it as one who knows, one who no longer wonders, one who no longer doubts, one who has finally ceased from human striving and has begun divine commanding. And now we move to the second half of this sacred decree. These are the words that will seal the instruction and summon the avalanche of good. We now arrive at the final, powerful movement of the spoken decree. These are the words that complete the command, that amplify the energetic current set in motion, and that signal to the treasury of heaven that it is time to pour forth its gifts in a great and unmistakable measure. The sentence concludes with these words, "Let all that is mine by divine right." This is a crucial and beautiful phrase. The possessions of pride or the riches of the ego are not being asked for. Stolen treasures or hurried, misaligned gains are not being called in. Only those things that belong to you by sacred spiritual law are called forth. Those things that have already been assigned, that have already been prepared, that are already complete in their perfect form in the invisible realm. This phrase affirms that there is no need to take what is not yours, nor to fear that your good belongs to another. You are not in a state of competition. You are in a state of alignment. When the words, "by divine right," are felt, you are aligning with the highest and best good for all concerned. You are invoking the divine law of right outcomes. You are calling in the blessings that will bless everyone involved. There is no guilt in this supply. There is no confusion. There is no compromise. There is only perfect provision, delivered in perfect and graceful ways. Now reach me. This is the powerful call of magnetic reception. Good is no longer being sent off into the distant future. It is being pulled into the present moment, into the now. A divine retrieval command is issued. These words have the power to dissolve all of the imaginary barriers that have stood between you and your good. The illusion of time, the vibration of fear, the concept of distance, the habit of disbelief. They completely remove the spiritual waiting room. They cancel all delay. You are no longer speaking from a place of lack, trying to attract something. You are speaking from a place of law, summoning what is already and has always been yours. There is no begging in this voice. There is no uncertainty. There is only the quiet, confident retrieval of divine inheritance. In great avalanches of abundance, this final phrase is where the sacred power of the decree truly crests. This is the vibrational crescendo. Mere pennies are not spoken of, or a small trickle of supply. Avalanches are commanded, not drops, but downpours, not small portions, but magnificent floods, not just enough to get by, but a total and complete overflow. This is the divine law of increase in powerful motion. The universe is no longer limited to giving small and timid answers. Permission is now given to receive on the grand and glorious level of divine surplus. The metaphor of the avalanche is no accident. Avalanches are massive, they are sudden, and they are unstoppable. And that is exactly how good will begin to appear when this sentence is spoken with a steady rhythm and a deep inner conviction. It will come not always through the small, predictable channels being watched, but through surprising, immense, and undeniable new pathways. You may wake up one morning to the news that a large debt has been completely erased. You may be offered a role or a position never even expected. You may receive a surprising refund, a long-lost return, a sudden reward, or a joyful release of funds. The channel through which it will come cannot possibly be calculated, but the law that it will is trusted with all the heart. This sentence is spoken daily, morning and night. It is spoken when the voice of fear rises up. It is spoken when the old habit of doubt tries to whisper its lies. It is spoken when the appearance of lack seems to threaten. For this sentence is the new spiritual sword. It has the power to cut through all false appearances and to command the divine reality to appear in their place. It is spoken aloud, with breath, with a steady rhythm, and with a sense of divine finality. It is not mumbled. It is not apologized for. You are not a pauper asking for a crumb. You are a divine commander, speaking your world into its perfect order. And let this be said with absolute clarity. It is not the sentence alone that brings the supply. It is the spirit that is behind the sentence. It is the unwavering vibration of certainty. It is the deep inner agreement of the soul. It is the sacred authority of the spoken command. When you speak as one with God, when you issue this sentence as a divine decree, when you repeat it faithfully and lawfully, then yes, money must and will find you. Not because you are lucky, but because you have finally learned to speak the law. Let no one distract you from this profound truth. Let no negative thought dilute the authority of your word. There is no need to manipulate, no need to beg, no need to force. There is only a need to speak. Speak faithfully, speak rhythmically, speak boldly, and watch what must appear. This is the sentence. This is the key. This is the turning point. Now, this truth is sealed even deeper by beginning the sacred work of reprogramming the mind to accept this sentence as the new and permanent financial reality. The sentence has been spoken. Its profound meaning has been heard. But until the subconscious mind fully accepts it as the new operating truth of life, the outer world will continue to reflect old, ingrained patterns. You see, the subconscious is the deep, fertile garden of the soul. It does not respond to logic. It responds only to repetition, to emotion, and to vivid imagery. It does not argue. It does not question beliefs. It simply and faithfully accepts as truth whatever it is allowed to hear often enough. This is why the new, powerful spoken sentence is now taken and sowed deliberately and lovingly into the fertile ground of the subconscious mind, day by day and night by night. It is not spoken only once with a wonder if it worked. It is not whispered timidly with a hope for the best. It is commanded rhythmically until it becomes a living, breathing vibration in the very core of being. The subconscious mind has, up until now, accepted phrases like, "I can't afford it," or "money is always tight," or "there's just never enough." And because it accepted these phrases, the outer world has had to obey them. But now, those old thorny weeds are replaced with a new and divine seed. The sentence, "Infinite Spirit, open the way for my immediate supply," is repeated until the subconscious mind accepts it not as a novelty, but as an unbreakable law, not as a hopeful wish, but as a direct command. This is done first thing upon waking, and it is done as the last thing before falling asleep. For in those two sacred moments, the conscious, analytical mind is quiet, and the gateway to the subconscious is wide open. The sentence is spoken slowly, with deep feeling, as though it is being written with a pen of fire across the surface of the soul. Money already finding you is imagined. Unexpected payments arriving in the mailbox are pictured. Surprising breakthroughs and a sense of joyful overflow are visualized. It is seen, spoken, felt, and known. A new and sacred rhythm is created, morning and evening, not just 5 times today and then never again. Not only when it feels right, but with the gentle and loving discipline of a spiritual warrior. Reprogramming the mind is not a mystical or a complicated process. It is, in fact, quite mechanical. If the subconscious mind is given a new command enough times, it must, by its very nature, obey. There is no worry if you do not feel different at first. The sentence is spoken anyway. There is no stopping when the outer world still looks unchanged. The sentence is spoken anyway. You are speaking through the appearances, not to them. You are issuing a new command that bypasses all current circumstances and rewrites the invisible, energetic blueprint that is responsible for creating visible results. A strange or even uncomfortable feeling may arise when it is spoken. That is a good sign. It means the old programming in the mind is beginning to crack. A sense of inner resistance may be felt. That is also a good sign. It means the old familiar vibration of lack is being successfully interrupted, but the sentence is spoken anyway. Right through that resistance, it is spoken until the sentence itself becomes more familiar than fear. The truth is this: the outer world will always, without fail, conform to the inner word. If the subconscious mind is successfully reprogrammed to believe, without any doubt, that money flows to you easily and joyfully, then the world of form must obey. Doors of opportunity must open. The illusion of delay must dissolve. New avenues of abundance must appear, not by your own might, but by the new power of your mouth. This is your sacred task now. It is not to figure out the how. It is not to chase after every new opportunity. It is simply to speak with an unwavering conviction until your subconscious mind believes fully, deeply, and permanently that money finds you easily and without any resistance. And once the mind has been fully reprogrammed, there will no longer be a need to strain, no longer a need to ask whether or not it is working. Supply will be expected just as naturally as the sun is expected to rise in the morning. because it will have been spoken long enough to be known in the very bones that the word is law. Now a movement into the sacred invitation, a 7-day test of divine alignment, of unwavering faith, and of spoken dominion. Now that this sacred truth has been received, you are no longer a seeker. You are a speaker. You are no longer a questioner. You are a commander. And so, a sacred invitation is now placed before you, not to test worthiness, but to activate your own divine authority. For the next 7 consecutive days, this sentence is spoken, morning and night, without excuse, without doubt, and without delay. Infinite Spirit, open the way for my immediate supply. Let all that is mine by divine right now reach me in great avalanches of abundance. It is said with breath, with a steady rhythm, aloud, not just in the head, not just in theory, but aloud, where the air itself can receive it, where the vibration can be sent out into the universe, where the law of being can be activated. Each morning, before the worries of the world have a chance to rush in, a pause is taken, and these words are spoken as law. They are declared not like a beggar asking for mercy, but like a spiritual sovereign issuing a command. And each night, before crossing the sacred threshold into sleep, they are spoken again, sealing the subconscious mind with the truth of divine supply. This is not a mantra. This is not a magic charm. This is a lawful and divine decree, and it must be spoken daily. It will begin to shift the fabric of the invisible realm, and the invisible always governs the visible. What is seen in life today is only the perfect echo of the words spoken in the past. To see new results, new inflows of cash, new money, and new manifestations, a new vibration must be spoken. For these next 7 days, speaking any words of lack is lovingly forbidden. I'm broke is not said. Money is not complained about. The old, tired language of fear, of debt, or of delay is not repeated. The sacred tongue now belongs to Spirit. Words are now the divine construction crew of heaven, and a promise is made now, as surely as the divine law of the universe is exact. If this sentence is spoken faithfully for 7 nights and for 7 mornings, without any contradiction and with a sense of reverence and rhythm, something in life will shift. An unexpected check may be received. A debt may be forgiven. A new job may be offered. A surprising refund may be gotten. A brilliant, creative idea that changes everything may be given. The how is not needed to be known. Only faithfulness to the command is needed. The universe is not asked, "Is it working?" That question itself reveals disbelief. It must work. The law cannot lie. Spirit does not forget. Your word will never return to you void. You are not speaking to make something happen. You are speaking because it already has happened in the realm of spirit. Each day of this alignment becomes more confident. Each night becomes more surrendered. The voice becomes more aligned, more sure, more rhythmic. And the words are not just said. They are felt. The reality of the avalanche is felt as it is spoken. The floodgates of wealth swinging open are pictured. The joyful sound of money flowing into life is heard. The very air of new provision is smelled. The whole being comes into perfect agreement with the word. This journey is not ultimately about the money. It is about alignment. It is about trust. It is about becoming the person who commands wealth, because you have finally become wealth in your own vibration. So this invitation is taken seriously. It is treated as a sacred and holy act. The sentence is written down, posted where it can be seen, carried with you, spoken. And then what happens is recorded, because when the truth is spoken, life will rearrange itself to obey. A new knowing arises now. I accept this 7-day alignment. I commit to speaking this sentence morning and night. I expect my divine demonstration, and I trust the law of my word. The new role as a divine commander has been accepted. The bridge from doubt to dominion has been crossed. And now, a preparation for the return. For what has been spoken in faith is already on its way. Next, the command is sealed with rhythm, with fire, and with a final spiritual finality through the powerful, rapid-fire affirmation sequence. Now, the sacred work is sealed. The law is anchored deep within your being. The truth of abundance is engraved upon the fertile soil of the subconscious mind. These affirmations are not wishful thoughts. They are spiritual decrees. They are spoken aloud, slowly, and rhythmically. Each word is allowed to pass through the body like a current of gentle electricity. The tongue becomes a rod of divine power, and the voice a trumpet of heavenly order. They are spoken now, with a quiet, bold authority. Money now comes to me swiftly, easily, and continuously. Money is no longer chased. It is now coming to you. The chase is over. The struggle has ended. Alignment has been spoken, and now receiving happens with grace. I command my divine supply, and it now appears, under grace, in perfect ways. Begging is no longer. Commanding is. Waiting is no longer. Receiving is. Grace will bring it gently. The law will bring it precisely, and Spirit will bring it right on time. I am in perfect and harmonious alignment with all the wealth that belongs to me by divine right. There is no conflict in receiving, no guilt, no confusion. What is truly yours cannot be taken from you. What is truly yours does not belong to another. It will be received fully, freely, and lawfully. I walk now in a sacred rhythm with abundance. I speak, and my money moves. Guessing is no longer needed, you know. You will now walk as one who is heard in the courts of heaven. You will speak, and the very gears of provision will begin to turn. Infinite Spirit has now opened every channel. My sentence has been spoken. My demonstration is certain. It is done. The sentence has left the lips and entered into the divine machinery of spiritual law. Manifestation is no longer optional. It is now an absolute inevitability. Now, the final seal. It is felt with a quiet fire. My word is law. Money finds me. It is already done. A pause. A deep breath. That truth settles into the very bones. This is no longer a theory being learned. This is the new identity. You have become the word. You have become the channel. You have become the authority. And now, with this sacred truth firmly anchored in your being, a final, gentle invitation is extended. A soft, spiritual call to continue walking this beautiful path. Not as a seeker anymore, but as a speaker of divine law. Now that the law has been spoken, now that the sacred sentence has been received, now that the 7-day command has been accepted, a state of forgetfulness is not allowed to return. The divine law of being requires consistency. The subconscious mind requires gentle reinforcement, and the spirit, having now been stirred from its slumber, requires a steady rhythm to sustain its rise. So an invitation arises, not as a follower, but as a fellow speaker of the truth, to remain anchored in this high and holy vibration. In the waking world, a gentle pull may be felt to comment below this video and to speak the decree into this sacred space of power, to say, I speak the sentence, and money finds me now. This is not done for attention. It is done for the purpose of anchoring, of confirmation, and of a final, spiritual finality. If this word has awakened something deep within, if the soul is now moving in a new direction, if the mind is in the process of being reprogrammed for abundance, then a closeness to this source of truth is maintained. A desire to subscribe may emerge, not for more entertainment, but for a continued alignment. Each new teaching becomes another stone in the foundation of a new life. Each rhythm of truth heard keeps you walking in the power of the law, not in the illusion of fear. A return to this message often during the 7-day alignment may feel right, to rewatch it, to speak the sentence again and again until the results seen in life make you an unshakable believer. And when the demonstration appears, and it will, a desire to return to this space and share it may arise. For your testimony of truth will become someone else's turning point. You are no longer the one who waits. You are no longer the one who wonders. You are now the one who speaks, the one who commands, the one who receives. You are now walking in your full spiritual dominion. And so it is. Now that the law has been spoken, now that the sacred sentence has been received, now that the 7-day command has been accepted, a state of forgetfulness is not allowed to return. Divine law requires consistency. The subconscious mind requires gentle reinforcement. And the spirit, having been stirred, now requires a steady rhythm to sustain its rise. So an invitation arises, not to work harder, but to rest deeper in this truth. A return to this sacred space each night becomes a natural ritual. These words become the last sound heard before surrendering to dreams. Each night you listen, you are not just hearing a message, you are deepening the groove of your new reality in the fertile soil of your mind. You are watering the seeds of your divine inheritance. You are allowing the gentle rhythm of truth to dissolve the old patterns of worry, all while you sleep. Your only task now is to rest and to allow the law to do its silent, perfect work. And now, after hearing this for the first time, a gentle declaration may arise. If this truth has awakened something within you, this commitment becomes a quiet anchor in your waking world. A gentle pull may be felt to comment below and speak your decree into this space of power. Simply to write, "I speak the sentence, and money finds me now." This is done not for attention, but as a final conscious act of anchoring this new vibration before the nightly ritual of rest begins. If this space of truth feels like a sanctuary for your soul, then a desire to subscribe may emerge. Not for more content, but for a continued, gentle alignment. This channel becomes a touchstone for your spirit, a place to return to whenever you need to be reminded of the peace that is your birthright. But for tonight, your work is done. You have listened, you have opened, you have received. You are no longer the one who waits. You are no longer the one who wonders. You are now the one who rests in the knowledge that your good is already on its way. You are walking in a new and sacred rhythm, and your only task now is to trust. So let go. Surrender to the peace of this moment. For what has been spoken in faith is already unfolding in perfect ways, by perfect law. And so it is.